Welcome to Future Slumber. Before we begin tonight's journey, take a moment to find a position that feels completely supportive of your body. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Unclench your jaw. Allow your hands to rest loosely, open and relaxed. You have nowhere else to be right now. There are no demands on your time, no questions you need to answer, and no problems you need to solve. This time is entirely yours, a sanctuary of quiet observation and deep rest. If you enjoy drifting off with us, we invite you to subscribe to the channel. By clicking that button, you ensure that this safe space is always waiting for you, ready to guide you into sleep whenever you need it, without you having to search or scroll. It is a small gesture that helps us continue to build this library of dreams for you. Know that as we proceed, you are free to fall asleep at any moment. You do not need to listen to the end. The sound of my voice is merely a tether to the present moment, a gentle hum to lull you into the darkness. If you drift away, you miss nothing but the passage of time, which will continue its steady, rhythmic flow regardless. Tonight, we enter a space of supreme clarity and stillness. You are standing at the threshold of a room designed for quiet contemplation. It is a simulation chamber, but not one of noise or chaos. It is a place of study, a futuristic observatory where the complexities of the world are translated into soothing light and slow, predictable movement. The room is dimly lit, the walls curved and smooth, crafted from a material that seems to absorb sound, leaving only a hush that feels like a heavy, comforting blanket. The air here is cool, cleaner than the air outside, filtered and pure. It carries a faint scent of ozone and polished glass, a scent that signals precision and calm. You walk slowly across the floor, which is soft underfoot, absorbing your steps so that you move in total silence. In the center of the room sits a large, comfortable chair, positioned before a vast, curved viewing pane. This pane is not a window to the outside world, but a canvas for the simulation, a screen of infinite resolution that is currently dark, waiting for your presence. You lower yourself into the chair. It accepts your weight perfectly, contouring to the shape of your spine, supporting your legs, your neck, your head. The material is cool to the touch but warms quickly against your skin. You let out a long, slow exhale, feeling the tension drain out of your muscles, sinking deeper into the cushion. You are safe here. You are an observer, removed from the world, watching from a vantage point of absolute security. With a soft, almost imperceptible hum, the simulation begins to awaken. The screen before you does not flash or startle. Instead, it slowly illuminates, fading in from black to a deep, resonant midnight blue. It is a map, but a living one, a holographic projection of the Earth's surface, rendered in exquisite, glowing detail. Tonight, the simulation focuses on a specific region, a place of islands and straits, of mountains and mist. The view centers on the waters of the Western Pacific, specifically the channel of water separating the majestic landscapes of the mainland from the island of Taiwan. In this simulation, there is no conflict, only geography. There is no noise, only data. You are watching a model of the world that focuses on the permanent things: the stone, the water, the wind, and the slow, rhythmic pulse of civilization viewed from a great distance. The title of the program, floating gently in the corner of your vision, suggests a study of strategies and lines. But here, in the quiet of this room, it manifests as a study of flow. You see the Taiwan Strait stretching out before you on the screen. It is rendered in shades of cobalt and charcoal. The water is not merely a flat surface. The simulation shows you the depth, the currents moving like slow rivers beneath the waves. You watch a stream of lighter blue wind its way through the darker waters, representing the warmth of the Kuroshio Current, bringing heat from the equator up past the southern tip of the island. It is hypnotic to watch, this massive, silent movement of water, a force of nature that has continued uninterrupted for millennia. The viewpoint shifts, gliding smoothly downwards, hovering miles above the surface. To the west, the coastline of the mainland is a sleeping giant of land, sketched in lines of topographic amber and soft green. To the east, the island of Taiwan rises from the sea like a verdant jewel. The simulation highlights the terrain, and you are struck by the verticality of the island. It is not flat. It is a spine of soaring mountains, ridge after ridge rising sharply from the ocean floor. You focus on the central mountain range. The screen zooms in slowly, a gentle drift that feels like floating on a cloud. You see the peak of Yushan, Jade Mountain, capped with a digital representation of snow. The simulation is so detailed you can almost feel the chill of that high altitude. Clouds, rendered as soft, translucent wisps of white, drift lazily around the peaks, snagging on the jagged ridges before dissolving into the valleys below. There is a profound sense of isolation here in the high mountains. The simulation removes the noise of the wind, leaving only the visual majesty of the stone and the sky. You imagine standing there on that high peak looking out over the sea of clouds. The air would be thin and crisp, filling your lungs with the purity of high elevation. Below you, the forests stretch out in a blanket of deep, endless green, cypress, hemlock, and spruce, ancient trees that have stood watch over these slopes for centuries. The camera glides down the slopes, moving from the alpine tundra into the temperate forests. The green becomes more vibrant, more lush. You see the deep gorges cut by rivers that have flowed for endless ages. The Taroko Gorge appears as a cleft in the marble, a winding ribbon of turquoise water slicing through stone that gleams in the simulated sunlight. The water moves with a heavy, languid grace, pooling in deep basins before spilling over rocks in silent cascades. Lower still, the landscape changes. The steep slopes soften into rolling hills, covered in the neat terraced rows of tea plantations. This is a place of cultivation and patience. You can imagine the smell of the tea leaves, green and slightly bitter, mixing with the damp earth and the morning mist. The rows are perfectly spaced, following the contours of the land like fingerprints. In this simulation, the tea fields are quiet. There are no workers, only the landscape itself, breathing, growing, waiting. The mist clings to the valleys here, a soft gray blanket that muffles the world, turning the landscape into a watercolor painting of soft edges and muted tones. The view drifts westward, leaving the mountains and moving toward the coastal plains. Here, the simulation shows the presence of humanity, but it is abstracted, peaceful. Cities are represented not by concrete and noise, but by clusters of glowing amber light. You see the sprawl of Taipei in the north, a basin of light nestled between the mountains and the sea. The lights flicker gently, like embers in a dying fire, pulsing with a slow, circadian rhythm. It is late night in the simulation, and the city is sleeping. The frantic energy of the day is gone, replaced by the steady, low-frequency hum of a metropolis at rest. You watch the arteries of the city, the highways and rail lines. Cars are tiny, moving specks of white and red, flowing along the roads like blood cells through a vein. There is no traffic, no congestion, only a smooth, continuous flow. It is satisfying to watch this order, this logic. The simulation organizes the chaos of life into a pattern of pure movement. You follow a single point of light as it travels down a long highway, moving steadily toward the coast, merging with other lights, part of a greater whole. The viewpoint moves out to the water again, to the ports, Kaohsiung in the south, Keelung in the north. The harbors are deep and protected. You see the shapes of massive container ships docked at the wharves. In this digital rendering, they are vast, rectangular shapes stacked high with goods. They are silent giants. Some are stationary, resting while giant cranes, thin as spider legs, move slowly above them. Others are in motion, gliding out of the harbor and into the open sea. The simulation highlights the shipping lanes. These are the invisible highways of the ocean, tracks that have been used by sailors for centuries. Glowing lines appear on the water, tracing the routes of commerce. You watch as dozens of ships, represented by small, glowing diamonds, move along these lines. They are slow, incredibly slow. The ocean is vast and their journey is long. There is no rush here. The movement is glacial, deliberate. You watch one ship as it tracks north, tracing a line parallel to the coast. It will take days to reach its destination. The patience of the journey is soothing. It reminds you that some things cannot be hurried, that progress is often made in small, steady increments. The screen widens its view, taking in the entire strait once more. You see the relationship between the landmasses, the way the water holds them both apart and connects them. The simulation overlays a weather system. You see a band of rain moving in from the northeast. It is a veil of blue-gray, sweeping across the water. You watch as it hits the northern coast of the island, the data representing rain falling softly on the roofs of the city, washing the streets, feeding the reservoirs. The clouds are thick and heavy, muffling the world below. You allow your eyes to unfocus slightly, letting the details blur into a wash of color and light. The blue of the ocean, the amber of the cities, the green of the mountains, the white of the clouds. It is a living painting, shifting and changing with a slowness that matches your breathing. In and out, in and out. The room you are in remains silent, the only sound the soft, rhythmic hum of the air circulation, a white noise that blends perfectly with the visuals on the screen. Now the simulation offers a new perspective. It invites you to look deeper into the history of the landscape, not through dates and battles, but through the architecture of shelter and community. The view glides across the strait to the mainland, to the coastal province of Fujian. It moves inland, away from the sea, into the rugged, hilly terrain. Here, nestled in the valleys, you see the chalu, the earthen buildings. These are the walled structures of the Hakka people, circular and square fortresses built from the very earth they stand on. The simulation renders them with a sense of solidity and permanence. You see the thick, rammed earth walls, meters deep, designed to protect and enclose. From above, they look like scattered donuts or massive wheels dropped into the green valleys. The camera descends, hovering just above the open central courtyard of one of these great roundhouses. You can see the wooden balconies rising tier upon tier, circling the inner space. It is a communal world turned inward. In the center is the ancestral hall, the heart of the structure. The design is one of total enclosure, a world within a world. The walls face outward to the unknown, thick and impenetrable, but inside there is light, air, and community. You imagine the life within these walls centuries ago. The safety of the circle, the sound of rain drumming on the tiled roof, sloping inward to catch the water, the smell of wood smoke rising from the kitchens on the ground floor, the feeling of being held, protected by the earth itself. The simulation focuses on the texture of the walls, the mixture of clay, sand, and lime, reinforced with bamboo and wood. They are rough, organic, warm in the winter, and cool in the summer. They speak of a time when safety was built by hand, layer by layer, pounding the earth until it became stone. There is a deep peace in this architectural form. It is a defensive structure, yes, but tonight, in this quiet room, it reads as a symbol of comfort. A circle is a complete shape. It has no beginning and no end. It holds everything together. You watch the shadows lengthen across the courtyard as the simulation cycles through a time lapse of a day. The sunlight moves across the wooden railings, the shadows stretching and retreating like a slow tide. Lanterns flicker on as evening approaches, turning the interior of the chalu into a glowing hive of warmth against the deepening blue of the twilight hills. Leaving the chalu, the view drifts back toward the coast, back to the water. The strait is a busy place, even in the simulation's quiet mode. But tonight, we are looking at the what-if not as a scenario of conflict, but as a scenario of logistics. The simulation begins to visualize the concept of a blockade or a boundary, but it does so gently, using lines of light to show imaginary perimeters. A semi-translucent wall of light rises from the ocean surface, tracing a perimeter around the island. It is not menacing, it is simply a boundary, a line of demarcation. You watch how the flow of ships reacts to this new variable. The glowing diamonds representing the vessels slow down. They enter holding patterns, circling lazily in the deep waters of the Pacific. It looks like a slow, intricate dance. The data streams cascade down the side of the screen, showing the shifting schedules, the rerouting of cargo. It is a study in interconnectivity. You see how a pause in one place creates a ripple in another. A ship stops in the strait and a corresponding light flickers in a port halfway across the world. The simulation visualizes these connections as thin, golden threads spanning the globe. The web of trade is delicate, beautiful, and vast. You watch the threads vibrate gently, adjusting to the new constraints. There is no chaos, only adjustment. The system breathes. It contracts and expands. The view moves closer to the water's surface, near the imaginary line of the blockade. The waves here are choppy, capped with white foam. The simulation renders the physics of the water with soothing repetition. You watch a single wave form, crest, and break over and over again. The sound of the ocean is introduced into the room now, very faintly. A low, rolling roar, distant and muffled, like hearing the sea through a closed window. Whoosh, hush, whoosh, hush. You are drifting deeper into relaxation. The intellectual part of your brain, the part that analyzes strategies and outcomes, is quieting down. You are simply watching the patterns of the waves, the patterns of the ships, the patterns of the clouds. It is all just movement, matter and energy shifting forms. The simulation takes you now to the Penghu Islands, an archipelago in the strait. These islands are flat and windswept, volcanic rock jutting out of the sea. You see the basalt columns, hexagonal pillars of stone formed by cooling lava eons ago. They stand like sentinels, stark and beautiful. The wind here is constant. You can see the grasses on the islands bending flat against the earth, rippling in waves of green and gold. Old lighthouses stand on the headlands, their beams cutting through the simulated darkness. Sweep, flash, darkness, sweep, flash, darkness. The rhythm is steady, a heartbeat of light. You focus on that beam. It catches the spray of the sea, illuminating the water droplets like diamond dust for a fraction of a second before plunging them back into obscurity. It is a lonely, peaceful vigil. The narrative of the simulation shifts to the underwater cables. Deep beneath the surface, resting on the silt of the ocean floor, lie the fiber-optic cables that connect the world. The simulation reveals them as glowing veins of neon blue. They crisscross the strait, burying themselves in the sand, draping over underwater ridges. These are the carriers of voices, of thoughts, of dreams. You visualize the pulses of light traveling through these glass threads at the speed of light. Even if the surface were to be disturbed down here in the crushing dark of the deep, the silence is absolute. The cables hum with their own internal light, indifferent to the storms above. You follow a cable as it rises from the depths, climbing the continental shelf, coming ashore on a quiet beach. You see the transition from the alien world of the deep sea to the familiar world of sand and dunes. The beach is empty, it is night. The sand is cool and silver under the light of a digital moon. The gentle lapping of the tide is the only movement. You imagine walking on that beach. Your feet sink slightly into the wet sand. The air smells of salt and iodine. You look out at the dark water, knowing that beneath the surface the currents are moving, the cables are humming, the fish are sleeping. You return your gaze to the center of the island, to the sun-moon lake. The simulation paints it as a mirror of obsidian. The lake is still, surrounded by misty peaks. A small temple sits on the edge, its red pillars muted in the darkness. Lanterns reflect on the water's surface, doubling the light. There is a wooden pier stretching out into the lake. You imagine sitting at the end of that pier, legs dangling over the edge, toes just inches from the water. The silence here is different from the silence of the high mountains. It is a damp, heavy silence. The sound of a cricket, the splash of a carp breaking the surface, the rustle of bamboo. These small sounds only emphasize the quiet. The simulation pauses here for a moment, letting you soak in the tranquility of the lake. It is a reservoir of peace, held in the cupped hands of the mountains. As you continue to watch, the simulation begins to overlay historical maps onto the present landscape. You see faint, ghostly lines of old navigational charts appearing over the satellite imagery. Maps from the 17th century, the 18th century, drawn by Dutch sailors, by Chinese admirals, by Portuguese explorers who named the island Ilha Formosa, the beautiful isle. You see the old names of ports, the estimated depths written in flowing calligraphy and archaic script. It reminds you that this water has been watched for a long time. Many eyes have looked upon this strait. Many ships have passed this way. The current moment is just one layer in a deep sediment of time. The anxiety of the now fades when placed against the backdrop of centuries. The land remains. The water remains. The names change, the borders shift, but the shape of the mountain and the curve of the coast endure. The simulation zooms out again, encompassing the entire region of East Asia. The curve of the Earth is visible now, a glowing arc against the blackness of space. You see the lights of Japan to the northeast, the Philippines to the south, the vast expanse of the mainland to the west. It is a tapestry of light. You realize how close everything is. From this height, the water does not look like a barrier. It looks like a connective tissue, a fluid that touches every shore. The simulation aspect fades further into the background. You are no longer analyzing a war game or a scenario. You are simply Earth-gazing. You are an astronaut in a silent station looking down at the sleeping world. The clouds swirl in great spiral galaxies of white. The typhoons are majestic wheels of energy, spinning slowly in the open ocean, far from land. You watch the eye of a storm, a perfect circle of calm amidst the rotation. The narrator's voice, my voice, becomes softer now, blending with the low hum of the room. We are going to drift lower again, back toward the details, back toward the textures. Let's go to the city of Tainan, the old capital. The simulation reconstructs the narrow streets of the historic district. The red brick walls, the banyan trees with their aerial roots cascading down like curtains of hair, swallowing old stone arches. It is warm here. The air is thick and humid. You walk through the simulation of a night market that has just closed. The stalls are shuttered. The crowds are gone. The streetlights cast long, lonely shadows. You see a stray dog trotting happily down the center of the empty road. It pauses to sniff at a wrapper, then continues on its way. The quiet after the bustle is profound. You can almost hear the echo of the day's laughter and commerce fading into the brickwork. You pass a temple, its doors closed for the night. The scent of incense still hangs heavy in the air, a sweet, sandalwood aroma that relaxes the mind. The simulation moves you to the high-speed rail line that runs down the west coast. You are inside the train now, in a window seat. The cabin is empty, the lights dimmed. You are traveling at 300 kilometers per hour, but inside it feels like you are floating. The landscape blurs past outside the window, streaks of light, dark patches of rice paddies, the flash of a passing station. The rhythmic asterisk thrum-thrum asterisk of the train on the tracks is a lullaby. You rest your head against the cool glass. The vibration is soothing. You are moving, but you are still. You are going somewhere, but you have already arrived. The train cuts through the night, a silver arrow of technology piercing the dark. You watch the reflection of your own face in the glass, ghostly and transparent, superimposed over the passing countryside. The journey takes you past the wind farms on the coast. Giant white turbines standing in rows, their blades turning slowly, majestically. Whoosh, round, whoosh, round. They are harvesting the wind, turning the invisible energy of the air into power. They look like sculptures, kinetic art on a massive scale. The simulation synchronizes their movement, making them turn in perfect unison, a ballet of giants. You feel a heaviness in your eyelids. The images are becoming dreamlike. The distinction between the simulation and your imagination is blurring. You are not just watching, you are there. You are feeling the wind, smelling the sea, hearing the train. The chair you are sitting in feels like a cloud. The room is safe. The world is safe. Now let us return to the tea room in the mountains, a specific location within the simulation's memory. It is a small wooden structure, perched on the edge of a steep slope. The walls are made of cedar, and the smell of the wood is rich and resinous. Rain is falling outside, a steady, vertical drumming on the roof. Inside there is a low table. A kettle is boiling on a charcoal brazier. The sound of the water reaching a boil is a soft, rising hiss. SSSSSSS. Steam curls up from the spout, dancing in the air. A ceramic teapot, dark and unglazed, sits waiting. Someone, perhaps you, pours the hot water over the dry leaves. The leaves uncurl, waking up, releasing their aroma. The scent fills the small room. It is floral, creamy, complex. It smells of orchids and high mountain air. You watch the steam rise and vanish. You wrap your hands around the small cup, feeling the heat seep into your palms. It grounds you. The warmth travels up your arms, relaxing your shoulders, your neck. You look out the open window. The valley below is filled with mist. You cannot see the bottom. You can only see the tops of the trees floating in the white sea. It is a world without a floor, a world of floating islands. The rain falls into the mist and disappears. Everything is soft. Everything is wet. Everything is alive. The simulation holds this image for a long time. It knows you need this stillness. It does not rush to the next scene. It lets you sit with the tea and the rain. You take a sip. The liquid is smooth, coating your throat, warming you from the inside out. You breathe in the damp air. Slowly, very slowly, the scene dissolves. It fades into a wash of soft gray, then transitions back to the deep blue of the ocean. We are underwater now. We are drifting with the currents in the Taiwan Strait. The sunlight from above is filtered, turning into shafts of blue and green that dance on the sandy bottom. Schools of fish move in unison, a shimmering wall of silver. They turn as one, guided by a collective instinct. There is no leader, only the group. They flow like mercury. You watch them navigate around a coral reef. The reef is a city of its own, built of calcium and color. Brain coral, staghorn coral, sea fans waving gently in the current. A sea turtle glides past. It is ancient, its shell covered in a mosaic of patterns. It moves with slow, deliberate strokes of its flippers. It seems to be flying through the water. It looks at you with a heavy-lidded gaze, wise and unbothered. It has seen the ocean change for 100 years. It knows the rhythms of the tides better than any computer. It passes you and fades into the gloom of the deep water. The simulation tracks the temperature of the water. It visualizes the thermal layers as bands of color. You are floating in a warm layer, wrapped in a blanket of temperate water. It feels like a bath, safe and enclosing. The weight of your body disappears in the buoyancy of the water. You are weightless. You are free. We rise to the surface again. It is dawn now in the simulation. The sun is breaking over the central mountain range. The sky is shifting from black to indigo to violet to a soft, burning orange. The silhouette of the mountains is sharp against the brightening sky. The lights of the cities below are beginning to wink out, one by one, surrendering to the daylight. The mist in the valleys begins to glow as the sunlight hits it. It turns from gray to gold. The world is waking up, but it is a slow, gentle waking. There is no alarm, only the gradual increase of light. You watch the shadow of the mountains retreat across the western plains, pulling back like a blanket to reveal the green fields below. The simulation zooms out to show the morning traffic of ships starting their day. The ports come alive, but from this distance, it is just a subtle increase in the tempo of the glowing dots. The rhythm of the world continues. The trade flows. The water moves. The wind blows. You realize that the simulation of conflict was never really about conflict at all. It was about understanding the fragility and the beauty of the system. It was about seeing how the land and the sea hold us, how they shape our lives. The walls are not just barriers. They are containers for culture, for safety, for history. The narration brings you back to the room you are sitting in. The screen is still glowing with the image of the sunrise, casting a warm, golden light onto your face. You feel the chair beneath you. You hear the hum of the air. You are completely relaxed. Your breathing is slow and deep. You are ready to go deeper into rest. The simulation will continue to run, silently, watching over the world, processing the data of wind and wave. You do not need to watch it anymore. It will be there when you wake up. Let's drift back to the coastline of Fujian, to the city of Xiamen. We float through the streets of Gyeongju, the pedestrian-only island. There are no cars here, only the sound of walking and the sound of pianos. It is known as the Piano Island. In the simulation, you can hear faint, ghostly melodies drifting from the windows of the old colonial mansions. A scale played slowly, a fragment of a nocturne. The buildings are old, covered in ivy and climbing flowers. The streets are winding and narrow. You walk past a brick wall covered in moss. You run your hand along the rough texture. It is cool and damp. You smell the sea air mixing with the scent of jasmine. You find a bench overlooking the water. You sit down. Across the narrow stretch of sea, you can see the islands of Kinmen. They are close, very close. In the morning light, they look like green stones resting on a silver platter. The water between here and there is calm, glassy. A small fishing boat is motoring slowly across the gap, leaving a V-shaped wake that expands until it disappears. The sense of tension that history places on this strait is absent here. There is only the shared geography, the shared weather, the shared ocean. The birds flying overhead do not know about borders. The fish swimming below do not know about exclusion zones. The wind blows from the mainland to the islands and back again, carrying pollen and dust and rain. You watch the fishing boat. The fisherman is casting a net. You see the net fly out, a circular web against the sky before splashing into the water. He waits. He pulls it in. It is a timeless rhythm. Cast and pull, wait and receive. It has happened here for thousands of years. It will happen for thousands more. The simulation lifts you up again, gently, carrying you north along the coast. You pass over the mouth of the Min River. You see the sediment fanning out into the ocean, a plume of beige swirling into the blue. It looks like milk being poured into ink. The patterns are fractal, infinitely complex. You follow the river upstream. It winds through the mountains, a serpentine path of water. You see the small villages clustered on the banks, the rice paddies stepping up the hillsides, the bamboo forest swaying. It is a landscape of incredible depth. Every valley has a name. Every hill has a story. You enter a bamboo forest. The light here is green and filtered. The stalks of bamboo are tall and straight, reaching for the sky. They creak in the wind, creak, clack. It is a wooden sound, hollow and resonant. The leaves rustle like whispering silk. You walk along a path covered in fallen leaves. It is soft and springy. The air in the bamboo forest is still. The density of the stalks blocks the wind, creating a pocket of calm. You look up and see the sky through the lattice of leaves. It is a mosaic of blue and white and green. You feel perfectly enclosed, perfectly safe. The simulation is slowing down its visual transitions. The images are holding for longer. The movement is becoming more minimal. We are settling. We return to the high mountains of Taiwan, to the Alishan Range. We are riding the forest railway, a narrow-gauge train that climbs through the mist. The engine chugs slowly. Chuff, chuff, chuff asterisk. The wheels squeal softly on the curves. The trees are massive here, red cypress, thousands of years old. Their trunks are like pillars of a cathedral. The mist is thick here. It swirls through the trees, obscuring the view, then revealing it in glimpses. A sudden drop-off, a view of a distant peak, a waterfall crashing down a cliff. Then the mist closes in again, wrapping the train in white. You are safe inside the carriage. The wooden seats are polished smooth by years of use. The window is open, letting in the cool, damp air. You smell the cedar and the ozone. The train climbs higher and higher, leaving the world below. You are ascending into the clouds. At the top, the train stops. You step out onto a wooden platform. The air is cold and biting but refreshing. You are above the cloud sea. It stretches out to the horizon, a solid floor of white cotton. The peaks of other mountains poke through like islands in the sky. The sun is setting now, turning the clouds pink and purple. You stand there watching the colors shift. The silence is absolute. You are on top of the world. You feel small, but in a good way. You are a part of this vastness. You are a witness to the turning of the planet. The simulation begins to dim the light in the room. The screen fades to a darker, deeper palette. The blues become midnight. The greens become forest shadow. The ambers become soft embers. The room you are sitting in darkens in response. The light is barely there now, just a soft glow to anchor you. You feel the weight of your eyelids. They are heavy, so heavy. It feels good to close them. You can still see the images in your mind's eye. The mountains, the ocean, the ships, the lights. You listen to the sound of the ocean that the simulation is playing. It is slower now. The waves are longer, more spaced out. Whoosh, silence, whoosh, silence. You are drifting, you are floating, you are safe. The journey continues, but now it moves to the microscopic. The simulation zooms in on a single grain of sand on a beach in Kenting, at the southern tip of the island. You see the crystalline structure of the silica. It is like a jewel. It reflects the starlight. You see the water molecule, 2 atoms of hydrogen, 1 of oxygen, vibrating, moving, connecting, the building block of the ocean. The simulation shows you the dance of the atoms. It is a harmonious dance. There is no conflict here, only the laws of physics playing out in perfect order. You zoom back out to the forest floor. You see a fern uncurling a new frond. The spiral shape, the fiddlehead, slowly opening. It takes days in real time, but the simulation shows it to you in a gentle flow. The green is vibrant, new, full of life. You watch the plant reach for the light. You move to the city streets of Taipei again, but this time in the rain. The asphalt reflects the neon signs. The colors run together on the wet pavement, red, blue, yellow. It is an impressionist painting. The rain softens everything. The sound of tires on wet roads is a constant, soothing hiss. ****************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** Of pedestrians look like colorful mushrooms popping up on the sidewalks. They move in currents, avoiding each other, flowing around obstacles. It is a river of people. The simulation takes you to a library in the city. It is quiet, rows and rows of books, the smell of old paper and glue, dust motes dancing in a shaft of light. You walk down the aisles, running your fingers along the spines of the books. History, geography, poetry. It is all here, recorded, safe. You find a book and open it. The pages are soft and worn. You cannot read the words, but you can feel the intent behind them. The desire to remember, the desire to understand. You close the book and place it back on the shelf. You find a comfortable chair in the corner of the library. You sit down. It is a mirror of the chair you are in now. You are sitting in a simulation of a library, inside a simulation of a room, watching a simulation of the world. It is layers of safety, layers of quiet. The view shifts one last time for this segment, back to the open ocean. The camera is just above the water line. The horizon is a straight line dividing the dark sea from the star-filled sky. The stars are reflected in the water, so it looks like you are floating in space. Stars above, stars below. You are suspended in the infinite. The movement of the ocean is barely perceptible now, just a gentle rise and fall, like the chest of a sleeping giant, up and down, up and down. You are perfectly still. You are perfectly safe. You are perfectly at peace. The simulation continues its silent vigil, tracking the slow, majestic rotation of the Earth, the drift of the continents, the flow of the tides. It requires nothing from you. You are free to let go. You remain in the chair, the material cool and supportive against your back. The room is a sanctuary of low light and filtered air. The hum of the simulation is a constant, low-frequency presence, like the purr of a sleeping cat or the distant vibration of a ship's engine. It is a sound that signifies safety, continuity, and the steady processing of the world's immense complexity into something understandable, something calm. The view on the screen begins to shift again, moving away from the open ocean and drifting northwards, towards the Matsu archipelago. These are islands scattered like stepping stones in the sea, close to the mainland but distinct in their geology and their rhythm. The simulation lowers the viewpoint until you are hovering just above the waves in a small, secluded cove. It is night here, a deep, velvety darkness, but the water is not black. As the waves roll in and break against the granite rocks, they glow with an ethereal, electric blue light. This is the phenomenon known as the blue tears, the bioluminescent algae that bloom in these waters. The simulation renders this with breathtaking beauty. Every time the water is disturbed, it sparks into light. You watch the shoreline. A wave curls and the crest becomes a ribbon of neon sapphire. It crashes and the foam is a chaotic, glowing galaxy of blue stars. The light swirls and fades only to be reignited by the next wave. Splash, glow, fade, splash, glow, fade. It is a hypnotic pulse, nature's own light show, playing out in the silence of the cove. The simulation zooms in on a single rock. You see the water washing over it, coating the stone in a momentary sheen of blue light. It looks like liquid magic. You imagine dipping your hand into that water. Your fingers would trail streaks of light. Your palm would cup a handful of stars. The air here smells of salt and wet stone, a clean mineral scent that clears the mind. We leave the glowing cove and drift inland, over the granite hills of Matsu. The architecture here is unique, born of the wind and the stone. You see the traditional stone houses, their walls built of rough-hewn granite blocks, breathing in the day's heat and releasing it slowly at night. The roofs are tiled, held down by heavy stones to protect against the strong winter winds. The simulation shows you the village of Kinbai, clinging to the hillside like a Mediterranean dream. The stone houses are golden in the simulated moonlight. The narrow alleys wind between them, steep and twisting. You walk these alleys in your mind. The stone is solid underfoot. You run your hand along a rough wall. It feels ancient, permanent. These walls have stood for generations, a testament to the endurance of shelter. There is a small temple at the edge of the village. Its roof ridges curve upwards like the tail of a swallow. Inside, a single lantern burns, casting long shadows. The simulation pauses here, letting you feel the quiet sanctity of the space. It is a place of prayers whispered to the sea, a place where the community gathers to ask for safety and calm waters. Now the viewpoint lifts, carrying you swiftly across the strait, back towards the main island of Taiwan. We are heading for the city of Hsinchu, known as the Windy City. But the simulation does not show you the bustle of the streets. Instead, it takes you to the coast, to the wetlands where the land meets the sea in a blur of mudflats and reeds. The wind here is a physical presence. The simulation visualizes the air currents as flowing streams of white lines sweeping in from the ocean. You watch the wind move through the tall grasses. They bow in unison, a ripple of green turning to silver as the undersides of the leaves are exposed. Whoosh, rustle, whoosh, rustle. You see the crabs scuttling across the mudflats. Thousands of them, tiny fiddler crabs with one oversized claw. They move with the tides, emerging to feed, retreating to their burrows. The simulation tracks their movements, a chaotic yet organized dance of life on the edge of the water. They are busy, focused, completely unaware of the vast world beyond their patch of mud. The wind in Hsinchu is not just a force of nature, it is a tool. The simulation takes you to a glass-blowing workshop in the city. Glass requires heat and breath, fire and air. You see the furnace, a glowing mouth of orange heat. The molten glass is gathered on the end of a long metal pipe. It is a glob of liquid light, heavy and viscous. You watch the artisan, a silhouette in the simulation, turn the pipe. The glass sags, spins, and shapes itself. Then the breath, a gentle, controlled exhalation into the pipe. The glass expands. It is a bubble of trapped breath, frozen in time. The simulation slows this process down. You watch the glass stretch, becoming thinner, more transparent. It cools from orange to red to clear. It is a metaphor for the island itself, sand and fire transformed into something transparent and beautiful. The fragility of the glass is its strength. It holds the light. You watch a finished vase sitting on a wooden table. It catches the simulated sunlight, refracting it into a rainbow on the surface of the wood. It is still, perfect, a vessel of silence. From the artistry of glass, the simulation transitions seamlessly to the artistry of silicon. We move to the science parks, the heart of the world's digital infrastructure. This is where the chips are made, the tiny brains that power the devices of the planet. But the simulation does not show you factories. It shows you gardens of logic. You are inside a clean room now, the purest environment on Earth. The air is filtered to remove every speck of dust. The light is yellow, a specific wavelength to protect the photosensitive materials. It feels like being inside a beehive made of amber. You see the silicon wafers. They are circular, polished to a mirror finish. They spin rapidly, coated in chemicals etched with light. The simulation zooms in deeper and deeper until you are looking at the landscape of a single chip. It looks like a city. You see the streets, the towers, the bridges of copper and gold. But this city is microscopic. The buildings are transistors, billions of them, arranged in perfect geometric order. It is a city of pure thought, where electrons flow like commuters, carrying information instead of briefcases. There is a profound silence in this microscopic world. The only movement is the flow of energy. You watch a pulse of electricity travel down a copper interconnect. It is a flash of light in the dark canyons of the chip. Zip. Flash. It happens in a nanosecond, but the simulation stretches it out, letting you appreciate the speed, the precision. This is the silicon shield, not a weapon, but a web of connection. These tiny chips, born from sand and light, connect the entire human race. You feel a sense of awe at the complexity. How much effort, how much knowledge, focused on a wafer of silicon the size of a dinner plate. It is a modern miracle, happening quietly, day and night in these amber rooms. The simulation pulls back, leaving the microscopic city and returning to the macroscopic world. We travel south to the fertile plains of Qianan. Here, the landscape is defined by water and rice. The paddies stretch out like a checkerboard, reflecting the sky. It is planting season in the simulation. The fields are flooded. They are mirrors of the clouds. You see the young rice shoots, bright green, poking through the surface of the water. They are arranged in neat rows, a testament to the order of agriculture. You watch the water flow from the irrigation canals into the fields. The system of canals is centuries old, a masterpiece of hydraulic engineering. The water moves slowly, guided by gravity, feeding the earth. Gurgle, trickle, silence. A flock of egrets descends on the field. They are stark white against the green and blue. They step gingerly through the mud, their long necks craned, looking for fish or frogs. They are the guardians of the paddy. One of them takes flight, its wings beating slowly, a graceful arc of white rising into the air. You follow the bird as it flies over the brown boulevard in Qishang. It is a long, straight road cutting through the rice fields. There are no telephone poles here, no wires to obstruct the view. Just the road, the rice, and the mountains in the distance. You see a person riding a bicycle down this road. They are moving slowly, pedaling without effort. The wheels spin, a blur of silver. The rider is small in the landscape, a speck of humanity in the vastness of nature. You imagine being that rider, the wind in your hair, the smell of the growing rice, a sweet, grassy scent, the feeling of freedom. The sun is high overhead now, warming the back of your neck. The simulation lets you feel that warmth. It is a gentle heat, not burning. It relaxes your muscles, loosening the knots in your shoulders. You are gliding through the landscape, carried by the simulation's gentle current. We move further south, to the city of Tainan, the oldest city on the island. We go to the Amping district, to the old fort. But we are not here for the history of battles. We are here for the history of trees. We enter the tree house. It was once a warehouse, a brick structure used for storing salt and camphor, but decades of neglect allowed the banyan trees to take over. Now, it is a symbiotic embrace between architecture and nature. The simulation walks you through the rooms. The roof is gone, replaced by a canopy of leaves. The walls are still there, but they are gripped by the massive aerial roots of the banyans. The roots spill down the brickwork like solidified wax, wrapping around window frames, breaking through floors, creating new pillars. It is a hauntingly beautiful space. The light filters through the dense leaves, dappling the floor in shades of green and gray. It is cool here, shaded and damp. The air smells of wet earth and old brick. You run your hand over a root. It is rough, bark-covered, strong as steel. The banyan tree does not destroy the building, it holds it together. It has become the structure. It is a slow-motion reclamation. Nature is patient. It waits and it grows. You feel the slow pulse of the tree, the sap rising through the roots, the leaves turning toward the sun. It is a reminder that everything returns to the earth eventually, that nature always finds a way to embrace the works of man. Leaving the tree house, the simulation takes you to the coast of Pingtung, to the indigenous villages of the Paiwan people. We see the slate houses. These are homes built entirely of flat stones, quarried from the local mountains. The roofs are layered like the scales of a pangolin or a snake. The stones are dark, almost black, absorbing the heat of the day. The simulation takes you inside one of these houses. It is dim and cool. The floor is made of large, smooth slabs. There is a stone hearth in the center. The smoke from generations of fires has blackened the ceiling beams, preserving the wood. You see the carvings on the wooden lintels, snakes, deer, ancestors. They are the story of the people carved into the structure of the home. The house feels like a cave, a safe, enclosed space protected by the weight of the mountain. You sit on the stone floor. It is cool against your legs. You feel grounded, connected to the geology of the island. Outside, the cicadas are singing, a wall of sound rising and falling. Zzzzzzz, zzzzzzz. It is the sound of summer in the tropics. It is loud, but it is a natural noise, a white noise that drowns out thoughts and brings you into the present moment. The simulation now lifts you high into the atmosphere, above the island, above the clouds. We are looking down at the weather systems again. You see the airflow over the central mountain range. The mountains act as a wall, forcing the air to rise and cool. You watch the clouds forming on the windward slopes. It is a lesson in physics. Invisible water vapor turning into visible cloud. You see the sea of clouds filling the valleys, a soft, billowing ocean of white. The peaks of the mountains look like islands floating in this white sea. You drift towards Alishan again, but this time at twilight. The sun has set, leaving a gradient of purple and orange on the horizon. The forest is darkening. We are going to see the fireflies. The simulation takes you to a forest path. It is pitch black, the trees blotting out the stars. Then slowly the lights begin to appear. Tiny, yellow-green flashes in the undergrowth. 1, then 10, then hundreds. They are floating, blinking, signaling to each other. It looks like the stars have fallen from the sky and are drifting through the trees. You walk through this galaxy of insects. They are silent, weightless. A firefly lands on your hand. You see its cold light pulsing. On, off, on, off. It is a tiny heartbeat of light. The air here is crisp and cold. You pull your imaginary coat tighter around you. The silence of the forest is deep, broken only by the occasional hoot of an owl. Hoo, hoo. The sound echoes through the trees, lonely and wild. We leave the mountains and head to the northern tip of the island, to the strange geological formations of Yaleu. Here, the sandstone has been eroded by wind and sea into fantastic shapes. You see the Queen's Head, a rock that looks like the profile of a royal figure. You see the fairy shoe, the candle rocks. The simulation shows you the process of erosion. It speeds up time. You see the grains of sand being blown against the rock, wearing it down, millimeter by millimeter. It is a sculpture made by the elements. The wind is the chisel, the sea is the hammer. The waves crash against the shore here with more force. Boom, hiss. The spray flies up, coating the rocks in salt. You taste the salt on your lips. The ocean here is wilder, darker. It is the Pacific Ocean stretching out for thousands of miles, untamed and deep. But you are watching from a place of safety. You are the observer on the cliff. You watch the power of the ocean, but you are not in it. You are respectful of its strength. Now, the simulation turns its attention to the logistics of sustenance. It takes you to a wholesale fruit market in the early hours of the morning, long before dawn. This is where the island's bounty is gathered. You see crates of mangoes, their skins blushing red and yellow, baskets of wax apples, shiny and pink, piles of pineapples, rough and golden. The smell is overwhelming, sweet, tropical, ripe. It smells of sugar and sun. The market is quiet in the simulation, a still life of abundance. You see the trucks lined up, ready to deliver this sweetness to the cities. It is a network of nutrition, a system that ensures everyone is fed. You pick up a mango in the simulation. It is heavy, dense with juice. You imagine slicing it open, the bright orange flesh, the sweet, floral taste. It is the taste of summer. We move from the fruit market to the flower market in Taipei. Under the overpass, acres of flowers are arranged in buckets. Orchids of every color, purple, white, yellow, spotted. Lilies, roses, chrysanthemums. It is a garden of concrete. The air smells of wet earth and green stems. You walk down the aisles surrounded by color. The simulation focuses on a single orchid bloom, the complex symmetry of the petals, the delicate lip. It is a masterpiece of evolution, designed to attract, to survive. The camera pans out to show the city waking up around the market. The gray light of dawn is filtering through the concrete pillars. The city is a machine that is slowly powering up. But for now, it is still in the boot-up phase. Quiet, potential. We drift east now to the Taroko Gorge. We have seen the water, but now we focus on the stone. The marble. The walls of the gorge are sheer cliffs of marble, swirled with gray and white and pink. The simulation takes you into the Tunnel of 9 Turns. It is a road carved into the side of the cliff. You are inside the rock. The ceiling is rock, the floor is rock, the wall is rock. Openings are cut into the side, looking down at the river far below. The river is a ribbon of turquoise. The water is rich in minerals, giving it this unreal color. It rushes over boulders the size of cars. Roar, rush, roar, rush. The sound reverberates off the canyon walls. It is a cathedral of sound. You run your hand along the wall of the tunnel. The marble is cold and smooth. You can feel the veins in the stone, the history of the earth compressed into this solid form. You feel small here in the presence of such massive geology. The gorge is a wound in the earth, but a beautiful one, healed by water and time. The simulation lifts you out of the gorge, up the vertical cliffs to the cloud layer again. We drift over the central cross-island highway. It is a road that defies gravity, clinging to the mountains. We see it empty, a ribbon of asphalt winding through the mist. We arrive at the Hehuanshan Dark Sky Park. This is one of the best places in East Asia to see the stars. The altitude is high, the air is thin and dry. There is no light pollution here. The simulation turns off the sun. The sky goes black. Then the stars appear, not just a few, but millions. The Milky Way is a river of diamond dust arching across the sky. You can see the depth of the galaxy. You can see the dust lanes, the nebulas, the clusters. You are lying on your back in the alpine grass. The ground is cool. The air is freezing, but you are warm in your simulation chair. You look up into the infinite. You pick out the constellations. Orion, the hunter, Scorpio, the summer triangle. The stars are steady. They do not twinkle here. They burn with a constant light. They are the same stars that the Aboriginal ancestors looked at. The same stars that the Dutch sailors navigated by. They are indifferent to the borders below. They watch over everything. A shooting star streaks across the sky, a scratch of light. Zip, you make a wish for peace, a wish for sleep. The simulation holds this view of the stars for a long time. It rotates the sky slowly, showing you the passage of the night. You feel the Earth turning beneath you. You are a passenger on a spaceship called Earth. Slowly, the view descends from the stars, back down to the ocean level. To the port of Keelung in the north. It is raining here as it often is, the rain port. The simulation captures the mood of a rainy night in the harbor. The wet asphalt reflects the yellow sodium lights of the cranes. The rain falls in sheets, drifting across the water. Shhhhh, patter. Shhhhh, patter. You are under a shelter, watching the rain fall into the dark water of the harbor. The surface of the sea is pitted with millions of tiny splashes. The smell is distinct: diesel, salt, rain, and fish. It is an industrial smell, but a comforting one. It speaks of work, of travel, of the connection to the wider world. You see a large ship entering the harbor. A pilot boat guides it in, bobbing in the wake of the giant. The ship is a wall of steel covered in containers. It slides past you, silent and massive. You read the names on the containers: Evergreen, Yang Ming, Maersk, names that circle the globe. The ship docks, the engines cut. The silence returns, filled only by the rain. You feel a sense of arrival. The journey is over. The cargo is safe. The ship has found its harbor. The simulation moves you now to the tangled, history-laden streets of Lugang, the Deer Harbor. It was once a bustling port, now silted up, leaving behind a town frozen in time. You walk down Nine Turns Lane. It is a narrow alleyway, designed with sharp bends to stop the strong sea winds from rushing through. The walls are red brick, warm and crumbling. The lane is so narrow that in some places only one person can pass. It is a maze of brick and shadow. You turn a corner and find a small shrine tucked into a niche in the wall. Incense coils are burning, hanging from the ceiling like springs. The ash falls silently. The smell is sweet and cloying. You hear the sound of a traditional Nangyuan musical ensemble practicing behind a closed wooden door. The plucking of a lute, the slow, mournful scrape of a bowed instrument. The music is slow, spacious, ancient. It belongs to another century. It seeps through the wood, filling the alley with a ghostly melody. You pause to listen. The music slows your heart rate. It is a music of patience, of waiting. It creates a space for contemplation. You lean against the brick wall, closing your eyes, letting the sound wash over you. The simulation transitions gently to the east coast, to the rift valley between the central range and the coastal range. We are floating over the tea plantations of Ruzui, but here, the tea is different. It is the honey black tea. You see the tea bushes, green and glossy. Tiny insects, leafhoppers, bite the leaves, causing the plant to release a specific chemical defense that gives the tea a honey-like aroma. It is a beautiful alchemy of nature. The sun is golden here, casting long rays across the valley. You see a farmer's truck driving slowly down a dirt road, kicking up a small cloud of dust that glows in the backlight. The pace of life here is determined by the sun and the rain. You float over a hot spring resort in the valley. You see the steam rising from the outdoor pools. The water is milky and blue, rich in minerals. You imagine sinking into that hot water, the heat penetrating your bones, the steam misting your face. You look up at the mountains, green and looming, while your body is held in the warm embrace of the earth's water. It is a profound relaxation. Your muscles melt. Your mind goes blank. There is only the sensation of heat and water. The simulation moves us to the very tip of the island, to Uluanbai Lighthouse, the light of East Asia. It is a fortified lighthouse, white and stark against the green grass and blue sea. It has walls with gun ports, a relic of a more dangerous time, now just a historical curiosity. The light beam sweeps out over the Bashi Channel. This is the meeting point of the Pacific Ocean and the South China Sea. The currents here are strong, swirling, and treacherous, but the light is steady. It cuts through the darkness, a warning and a guide. You stand on the grassy slope below the lighthouse. The wind is warm here, tropical. It blows from the south, carrying the scent of the equator. You watch the beam turn, flash, sweep, flash, sweep. It is a rhythmic reassurance. Someone is watching. The light is on. We move underwater again into the coral reefs of Kenting. We drift through a forest of soft coral. It waves in the current like trees in the wind. We see a clownfish nestling in the tentacles of a sea anemone. It is safe there, protected by the stinging cells that it is immune to. The colors here are vibrant, orange, purple, pink, but in the blue light of the deep they are muted, dreamlike. You watch a sea snake swimming towards the surface to breathe. It moves with a sinuous, ribbon-like grace. It takes a gulp of air and dives back down, disappearing into the reef. The ocean is a world of layers, the surface, the reef, the deep. The simulation takes you down past the reef into the twilight zone. The light fades. The water gets colder. Here, the creatures are strange and slow. You see a jellyfish pulsating in the dark. It is bioluminescent, flashing with rainbow colors. It is a fragile gelatinous bell drifting in the void. It has no brain, no heart, only the impulse to eat and drift. It is a creature of pure instinct. You watch it pulse. Open, close, open, close. It is soothing to watch something so simple, so unburdened by thought. The simulation brings you back up, breaking the surface of the water, and you are now flying low over the Penghu Islands again. But this time, we look at the Twin Hearts stone weir. It is an ancient fishing trap made of stone, built in the shape of two connected hearts. It is visible clearly from above, sitting in the shallow turquoise water. It was built centuries ago by fishermen who understood the tides. When the tide comes in, fish swim into the hearts. When the tide goes out, they are trapped. It is a structure of sustenance, but it is also a thing of beauty, a symbol of love carved into the ocean floor. You watch the water drain out of the weir as the tide lowers. The stones emerge, wet and glistening. It is a clock made of water and rock. The narrator's voice is a whisper now. The journey is winding through the neural pathways of the island, soothing every connection. We end this section back in the simulation room. The screen shows a live feed, simulated, of the moon rising over the Pacific. It is a full moon, huge and white. It paints a road of silver light on the black ocean. You are sitting in your chair. You are safe. You are warm. The world is vast and beautiful and holding together. The systems are working. The water is flowing. The earth is turning. You are ready for the next level of depth. The simulation holds the image of the moonlit ocean for a long moment, allowing the silver light to wash over your mind. The rhythm of the waves is a metronome, slowing your heart rate, syncing your breath with the tides. In, out, rise, fall. The water is a heavy, comforting blanket covering the world in secrecy and silence. From this vastness, the viewpoint glides silently inland, moving towards the northern hills of Taipei into the quiet, climate-controlled sanctuary of the National Palace Museum. We are not here to study history in the academic sense, but to observe the stillness of objects that have survived the passage of time. The simulation takes you inside the darkened galleries. The security lights cast long, soft shadows. You are alone here, walking through the halls of memory. You approach a glass case, lit from within by a gentle, fiber-optic glow. Inside sits the jade cabbage. You lean in close. The simulation renders the stone with absolute fidelity. You can see the translucence of the jade, the way the light travels through the white stalk and into the emerald leaves. It looks wet as if it were fresh from the garden, yet it is hard, cold stone. A katydid and a locust are hiding in the leaves, frozen in eternal silence. You focus on the texture, the smooth, polished surface that feels cool to the imaginary touch. It is a masterpiece of patience, carved by hands that have been dust for centuries, yet the object remains perfect and still. Nearby, in another case, rests the meat-shaped stone. It is a piece of jasper, carved and dyed to look like a piece of braised pork. It is a playful illusion, a trick of the eye. In the quiet of the museum, it speaks of the simple joys of food, of home, of a warm meal shared with family. The simulation highlights the pores in the skin of the stone, the layers of fat and lean meat. It is solid, unmoving, a permanent meal for the eyes. You walk through the hall of ceramics. Thousands of vases, bowls, and plates, blue and white porcelain, delicate as eggshells, celadon with its mysterious misty green glaze. They are arranged in rows, silent soldiers of beauty. You imagine the kilns where they were born, the fire that hardened the clay, the hands that painted the dragons and the phoenixes. They have traveled across mountains and seas to be here, wrapped in straw and cotton, protected from the chaos of the world. Now they rest. They are safe. The air in the museum is cool and dry, smelling faintly of old paper and floor wax. It is a smell of preservation. The simulation lets you feel the weight of this safety. The walls of the museum are thick, built into the hillside, a fortress for art. You feel a sense of reverence here. It is a temple of human creativity, sleeping in the dark. Leaving the museum, we drift south, following the spine of the mountains to the Sun-Moon Lake again, but this time we go deeper, to the Wenwu Temple that overlooks the water. It is night. The temple is closed. The massive red doors are barred. But the simulation lifts you up to the roof, to the ridges covered in yellow glazed tiles. You sit next to a ceramic dragon looking out over the black lake. The air is damp here, smelling of incense ash and pine needles. The lake reflects the stars, a second sky beneath your feet. You see the stone lions guarding the entrance. They are massive, carved from marble. They sit on their haunches, watching the stairs. They are the silent guardians. They do not sleep. They watch the shadows. They watch the water. You feel protected by their presence. They have seen thousands of sunrises, thousands of storms. They are unmoved. The simulation moves us now to the agricultural heartland in the center of the island, to the township of Ziluo. We are looking at the Great Red Bridge that spans the Zhuoshui River. It is a masterpiece of steel, painted a vibrant, lucky red. At night, the bridge is lit up. It looks like a dragon arching its back over the river. The river below is wide and gray, carrying the sediment of the mountains to the sea. The water is shallow in the dry season, braiding into silver streams across the gravel bed. You are standing on the bridge. You can feel the vibration of the steel beneath your feet as a lone truck passes by. Rum-um. It is a low, heavy sound. The truck is carrying vegetables to the market in the north. Cabbages, scallions, radishes. The logic of logistics never sleeps. The bridge connects the harvest to the table. It is a link in the chain of sustenance. You watch the truck's taillights fade into the distance, two red eyes disappearing into the dark. Then silence returns. Only the sound of the wind whistling through the steel trusses. Woo, woo. It is a lonely sound but peaceful. The bridge stands firm, a monument to connection. We drift further south to the Alishan Range again, but deeper into the forest, to a place where the trees are older than the temples. The sacred tree grove. These are red cypresses, some over 2,000 years old. They were saplings when the Roman Empire was falling. The simulation renders the bark of these giants. It is gray and fibrous, peeling in long strips. The trunks are so wide that 10 people holding hands could not circle them. They are living mountains. You stand at the base of one looking up. The top is lost in the mist and the dark. You put your hand on the bark. It is rough and damp. You feel a slow, vibrating hum. It is the life of the tree, the sap rising, the cells dividing. It happens so slowly that it feels like stillness, but it is life. It is the patience of the forest. The ground is covered in moss, a thick green carpet. It softens your footsteps. It absorbs all sound. The air is rich with phytoncides, the natural chemicals released by the trees. It smells sharp, clean, like lemon and cedar. You breathe it in deep. It clears your lungs. It clears your mind. The simulation shows you a small wooden shrine at the base of a tree. A simple offering of rice wine and a few incense sticks, long burned out. It is a sign of respect. acknowledging the spirit of the place. You feel a sense of humility here. The human timeline is so short compared to the timeline of these trees. They are the true watchers. Now the view shifts to the coastal plains of Chiayi. We are hovering over the fish farms, rectangular ponds stretching for miles. The water in the ponds is still, reflecting the moon. But then you see the paddle wheels turning. They are aerators splashing the water to add oxygen for the fish. Splash, 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 splash. The sound is rhythmic, continuous. White foam flies up in the moonlight. You watch the paddle wheels turn, round and round. It is a cycle. The water is lifted, it falls, it bubbles. The fish below, milkfish, tilapia, shrimp, are swimming in the dark, feeding and growing. You see the small huts of the fish farmers perched on the dikes between the ponds. A light burns in one window. Someone is awake, watching the water, checking the oxygen levels. It is a lonely vigil but essential. The simulation honors this quiet work, the work of feeding the island. We move to the city of Tainan, to the calm of a Confucian temple in the early hours. The Quantai Shu Zhu, the first school in Taiwan. The red walls are muted in the darkness. The curved roofs sweep upwards towards the stars. The courtyard is empty. The old banyan trees stand like sentinels. You walk across the stone pavers. Your shadow stretches long and thin. You enter the main hall. It is simple, austere. No statues of gods here, only spirit tablets inscribed with the names of scholars and the master himself. It is a place of intellect, of study, of ethics. The silence here is heavy with thought. You can almost hear the scratching of brushes on paper, the murmuring of students reciting the classics from centuries ago. The master said. You sit on the steps of the hall. The stone is cool. You look out at the moon through the branches of the trees. It is the same moon that the scholars looked at. The continuity of learning, of culture, of respect. It feels solid. It feels safe. The simulation now takes a turn towards the domestic. We enter a high-rise apartment building in New Taipei City. We float up the side of the building, past hundreds of windows. Most are dark, people sleeping, but some are lit. We drift through the glass of a window on the 15th floor. We are in a living room. It is small, cozy. A cat is sleeping on the sofa, curled into a tight ball. A fish tank hums in the corner, the blue light illuminating the room. On the table, a laptop is open, showing a paused video. A half-eaten bowl of instant noodles sits nearby. Steam curls up from it. The smell is savory, sesame oil and scallions. It is the smell of a late-night snack. You feel the intimacy of this space. It is a bubble of private life, high above the street, insulated from the world. The person who lives here is in the next room, sleeping. You are the invisible guest, watching over their peace. You look out the window. The city is a sea of lights below. The headlights of cars on the elevated highway look like a river of diamonds. You feel a sense of detachment. You are safe in the tower. The world is moving, but you are still. We leave the apartment and go down to the street level. We enter a convenience store. A 7-Eleven on a quiet corner. The door chimes as we enter. Ding-dong. A familiar, welcoming sound. The store is bright, fluorescent, clean. It is a beacon of safety in the night. The shelves are stocked perfectly. Rows of colorful drinks, bento boxes, onigiri wrapped in plastic. You walk to the tea egg cooker. A pot of dark, simmering liquid. The eggs are cracked, the shells marbled like the stone in the museum. The smell is distinct: tea, soy sauce, star anise, cinnamon. It is a warm, comforting smell. You watch the clerk behind the counter. He is restocking the shelves, moving with slow, practiced efficiency. He hums a quiet tune. There is no urgency here, just the slow passage of the night shift. You walk to the refrigerated section. The hum of the compressor is a steady drone. MMMMMMMM. You look at the rows of milk tea, the condensation on the bottles. You imagine the cold plastic in your hand, the sweet, creamy taste. This store is a node in the network of safety. It is always open. It is always bright. It is always there. No matter what happens outside, inside, the tea eggs are simmering and the lights are on. The simulation dissolves the store and takes us to the underground. The Taipei Metro, the MRT, it is closed for the night. The stations are empty. We are in a station deep underground. The floors are polished granite, reflecting the ceiling lights like a mirror. It is a cathedral of transit. You see a maintenance crew working on the tracks. They are wearing yellow vests and helmets. They are polishing the rails. A machine moves slowly along the track. Whirr, shhh, whirr, shhh. Sparks fly, orange and bright, vanishing before they hit the ground. They are grinding the steel to ensure a smooth ride for the morning commuters. It is a hidden world of care. You watch the sparks dance. You watch the men work with precision. They are the caretakers of the flow. The station is silent except for the sound of the grinder. The advertisements on the walls are frozen smiles. The turnstiles are locked. It is a space of pure potential, waiting for the energy of the morning. We move deeper, into the rock itself. We travel to the tunnels of the Feitsui Reservoir, massive concrete pipes carrying water from the mountains to the city. The water here is under pressure. It rushes through the dark pipes, rushing, rushing. You can feel the power of it, the lifeblood of the city, clean, filtered, cool. We emerge at the reservoir itself, a vast lake held back by a concrete arch dam. The water is emerald green, deep and still. The dam is a curved wall of gray, holding back millions of tons of water. You stand on the top of the dam. The concrete is cold and solid. You look down the curved face to the riverbed far below. It is a dizzying drop, but the dam is strong. It does not move. It holds. The simulation highlights the sensors embedded in the dam, measuring stress, temperature, movement. Everything is within normal parameters. Green lights blinking on a control panel somewhere in a quiet room. Safety is a number. Safety is a green light. We fly east again, over the central mountain range, to the Rift Valley. We are going to the Hot Air Balloon Festival in Louis Highlands. It is early morning in the simulation now. The sun is just peeking over the coastal range. The balloons are being inflated, giant fabrics of nylon lying on the grass. Fans are blowing air into them. Whoosh, whoosh. They ripple and rise, taking shape. Colorful spheres, stripes, dots, animal shapes. Then the burners are lit. FWOSH. A jet of blue and orange flame shoots into the envelope. The heat rises. The balloon stands up, tugging at its ropes. It wants to fly. You step into the basket. It is woven wicker, creaking slightly. The pilot hits the burner again. FWOSH. The ground falls away. You are rising, gently, smoothly. You float over the tea plantations, over the pineapple fields. The world becomes a patchwork quilt below you. The silence is profound. There is no engine noise, only the occasional roar of the burner. Between the blasts of fire, it is completely quiet. You are drifting with the wind. You see a herd of water buffalo in a muddy field below. They look up as you pass, their horns wide and curved. They chew their cud, unimpressed by your flight. You are just another cloud to them. You drift towards the coast. You can see the Pacific Ocean stretching out to infinity. The sun is reflecting off the water, a blinding path of gold. You feel weightless, detached from the earth, yet seeing it more clearly than ever. The simulation brings you down gently, landing in a grassy field. The basket bumps the ground. Bump, drag, stop, you step out. The grass is wet with dew. Your shoes get damp, it feels real. We leave the balloons and go to the port city of Keelung again, but this time to the Maiaku night market, but in the hours of cleanup. The crowds are gone. The yellow lanterns are still lit, swaying in the sea breeze. The vendors are scrubbing their stalls. Stainless steel is being polished until it shines. Water is being sprayed on the pavement, washing away the night's debris. Swish, splash, swish, splash. It is a ritual of renewal, preparing for the next day. You watch an old woman wiping down her counter. She moves with a slow, circular motion. Wax on, wax off. She is tired but content. The work is done. You smell the lingering scent of crab soup and tempura mixing with the soap and the sea air. It is a complex human smell. The market is sleeping, but it will wake up again. It always does. The simulation takes us now to the outlying islands of Kinmen. These islands sit very close to the mainland coast. We visit a village of old brick houses with swallowtail roofs. We see the wind lion gods, statues of lions made of clay or stone standing on the roofs or at the village entrances. They are painted in bright colors, red, yellow, blue. They have wide mouths, often holding a ball or a brush. They are there to catch the wind, to tame the gales that blow across the strait, to protect the village from evil spirits and bad weather. You stand before a wind lion god. It is taller than you, made of weathered stone. Its eyes are wide and fierce, but its purpose is protective. It is a guardian. You put your hand in its open stone mouth. You feel the wind rushing past, but the lion stands firm. It eats the wind. You walk through the fields of sorghum. The tall stalks rustle dryly. Rustle, hiss, rustle, hiss. This is the grain used to make the famous Kaoliang liquor. The smell of the fermentation hangs in the air near the distillery, a sharp, yeasty, potent smell. We go underground in Kinmen, into the tunnels. These were once military tunnels dug into the granite to hide boats. Now they are quiet. The water in the tunnel is absolutely still, acting as a perfect mirror for the rock ceiling. You walk along the narrow walkway. The echo of your footsteps is loud. Click, clack, click, clack. The air is cool and dank. You look at the reflection in the water. It is disorienting. Which way is up? The illusion is perfect. The tunnel is a circle of stone. The simulation emphasizes the strength of the granite. This island is a rock. It endures. The tunnels are now cellars for aging the liquor. Thousands of ceramic jars stacked in the dark, gathering dust and flavor. Time is the ingredient. The silence of the tunnel enters the wine, making it smooth and deep. We leave the islands and return to the main island's east coast, to the Sanxiantai Dragon Bridge. A bridge of 8 arches connecting the mainland to a small offshore island. It looks like the back of a sea dragon rising from the waves. It is dawn. The sky is a pale lavender. The sea is calm. You walk across the bridge. The arches rise and fall, up and down, like the waves themselves. You reach the small island. It is uninhabited, just rocks, pandanus trees, and a lighthouse. You sit on a piece of driftwood. The wood is smooth, bleached white by the sun and salt. You watch the hermit crabs moving in the sand. They are changing shells, finding new homes. It is a slow, careful process, a vulnerability that leads to protection. The simulation shifts the view to the underwater cables again, but this time we follow them to the landing station in Tachang. We see the concrete building where the internet comes ashore. It is nondescript, boring even, but inside, the world is connecting. We enter the server room, rows of black cabinets, blinking lights, blink, blink, blink. The sound of fans is a white noise torrent. WHHHHHHH. This is the physical body of the digital world. Your emails, your videos, your messages, they are all pulses of light traveling through these machines. The simulation visualizes the data as streams of gold dust flowing through the cables, being sorted and directed. It is a river of information. It flows like water. It flows like tea. It connects minds. It connects hearts. The simulation suggests that this connection is a shield in itself, a web of understanding that wraps the globe. We pull back to the room you are sitting in. The screen softens its light. You feel the deep relaxation in your legs, your arms. Your head is heavy against the headrest. The simulation begins to show you a montage of rain. Rain on the tin roofs of old houses. Tink, tink, tink. Rain on the broad leaves of banana trees. Plat, 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 rain on the surface of a lotus pond. Plop, plop. The water gathers. It flows into gutters, into streams, into rivers. It washes the dust from the world. It turns the gray concrete dark and slick. It makes the green mountains greener. You are watching the water cycle of an entire island. Evaporation, condensation, precipitation. It is a breathing system. The island breathes in the ocean and breathes out the rivers. We return to the tea room in the hills of Maokong. It is night. The city lights of Taipei are far below, a glittering carpet. You are sipping Taiguanian tea. It is roasted nutty with a hint of charcoal. The steam from the cup warms your face. You are sitting on a wooden deck. The air is cool. A cat jumps onto your lap. It is warm and heavy. It purrs, purr. You stroke its fur. It is soft. The cat kneads your leg with its paws, happy, safe. You look at the city lights. They are beautiful but distant. You are here in the quiet dark with the tea and the cat. The simulation zooms in on the tea leaves in the pot. They are unfurling, releasing their essence. You watch the water turn amber. It is a slow diffusion. A letting go. Everything in the simulation is about letting go. The rain lets go of the cloud. The river lets go of the mountain. The leaf lets go of its flavor. You let go of your tension. We drift to the southern tip again, to the National Museum of Marine Biology and Aquarium. It is night. The visitors are gone. We are in the tunnel that goes through the main tank. Water is all around you, above to the sides. You are walking on the bottom of the ocean, but you are dry. You see a whale shark gliding overhead. It is massive, a gentle giant. Its white spots look like a constellation. It moves with a slow, sweeping tail beat. It opens its mouth, filtering the water. You see a manta ray doing a backflip, a graceful loop. It looks like a bird flying in slow motion. The water supports them. It holds them up. You lie down on the floor of the tunnel. You look up at the water. The light filters down from the surface, wavering and dancing. It is hypnotic. The fish are silhouettes against the blue. You feel like you are underwater. Your breathing slows to match the rhythm of the shark's tail. Sweep and glide, sweep and glide. The simulation takes you deeper to the abyss, to the thermal vents off the coast of Gaishan Island, the Turtle Island. The water here is acidic, hot. Bubbles of gas rise from the seafloor. Bloop, bloop. They look like curtains of champagne bubbles. The water is milky blue. You see the strange crabs that live here. They are white, blind. They feed on the bacteria that feed on the sulfur. It is an alien world right here on Earth. Life finding a way in the most extreme conditions. The simulation focuses on the bubbles rising, up and up, expanding as they rise. They pop at the surface, releasing their gas. It is a release of pressure, a venting. You feel your own pressure releasing. The thoughts that were tight in your head are bubbling up and popping, gone. The view rises to the surface of the ocean. It is calm. The sun is setting again in the simulation, cycling through time to show you the beauty of the dusk. The sky is a bruise of purple and gold. The clouds are edged in fire. The sea is dark, almost black, reflecting the last of the light. A single fishing boat is on the horizon, a silhouette. It is heading home. You watch it get smaller and smaller until it is just a speck. Then it is gone. The ocean is empty, just water and sky. The horizon is a perfect line, simple, clean. You are floating in the void, but it is a warm void, a velvet void. The narrator's voice becomes even softer. We are reaching the deeper states of rest. We go to a traditional courtyard house in the countryside, the Sanhaiyuan, a U-shaped brick house. In the center of the courtyard, rice is drying on bamboo mats. The sun has warmed the grain. It smells nutty and dry. An old dog is sleeping in the shade of the eaves. It twitches its paws, dreaming of rabbits. You sit on a wooden stool in the shade. You watch the dust motes dancing in the shaft of sunlight. You listen to the chickens scratching in the dirt. Scratch, peck, scratch, peck. It is a timeless scene. It could be 50 years ago, it could be today, it doesn't matter. The rhythm is the same. The sun rises, the rice dries, the dog sleeps. You feel a profound sense of belonging. You are part of this rhythm. You are a creature of the earth, just like the dog, just like the chicken. The simulation slowly fades the image of the courtyard. It replaces it with abstract patterns of light, soft, shifting shapes, like looking at the sun through your closed eyelids. Orange, red, pink. The hum of the room deepens, a vibration that goes straight to your bones. It loosens the marrow, it relaxes the spine. You are sinking deeper into the chair. The chair is gone. You are floating on a cloud. You are floating on the tea. You are floating on the ocean. You are safe. You are warm. You are asleep. The simulation continues to run. It watches the wind. It watches the waves. It watches the ships. You do not need to watch anymore. You can let go.
The abstract colors in your mind's eye begin to coalesce, settling into a deep, rich indigo. The simulation transports you to the historic streets of Sanxia, to a workshop that smells of earth and fermentation. We are observing the ancient art of indigo dyeing. You are standing before a series of large ceramic vats sunk into the ground. The liquid inside is dark, almost black, with a metallic sheen on the surface. It is a living culture, a mixture of indigo plants, rice wine, and lime. The smell is distinct, pungent, organic, a scent of old vegetation and alchemy. You watch the hands of a master dyer. They are stained blue, the color of the ocean, the color of the twilight sky. The dyer takes a length of white cotton cloth. It is tied with string, knotted in specific patterns to resist the dye. This is the art of asterisk shibori, of creating patterns through restriction. The cloth is dipped into the vat. Submerge, bubble, lift. The fabric comes out green. You watch the magic of oxidation. As the air hits the wet cloth, the green slowly transforms into blue. It deepens. It settles. It becomes the color of the night. The simulation slows this process down. You see the oxygen molecules bonding with the indigo. You see the color locking into the fibers of the cotton. It is a permanent change, a commitment to the hue. The dyer dips the cloth again and again, layering the color, building the depth. It is a process that cannot be rushed. It requires patience. It requires waiting. You feel the rhythm of the work. Dip, oxidize, dip, oxidize. Finally, the cloth is rinsed in clear running water. The excess dye flows away in a blue stream. The knots are untied. The pattern is revealed. White clouds on a blue sky, white waves on a blue sea. The cloth is hung up to dry on bamboo poles. You watch the fabric swaying gently in the breeze. It is heavy with water dripping slowly onto the stone floor. Drip, drip, drip. The sound is meditative. The rows of blue fabric look like flags of peace, signaling a surrender to the slow pace of craft. From the liquid blue of the dye vats, the simulation transitions to the solid heat of the kilns in Yingzhi. This is the town of pottery. The streets are lined with ceramics, teapots, vases, plates, bowls. But we go behind the scenes to the fire. You are inside a workshop. The air is warm and dry. Dust motes dance in the shafts of sunlight. You see the potter's wheel. A lump of gray clay sits in the center. The wheel begins to spin. Hum. The potter's hands are wet with slip. They touch the clay. It rises. It falls. It centers. Under the pressure of the hands, the chaos of the lump becomes the order of a cylinder. You watch the walls of the vessel rise. They are thin, uniform. The potter uses a small wooden rib to smooth the side. The clay is compliant. It wants to be shaped. It follows the command of the hand. The simulation moves you to the kiln. It is a gas kiln roaring with controlled fire. Roar, whoosh, roar, whoosh. Inside, the temperature is rising to over 1,000 degrees. The clay is vitrifying. The sand is melting into glass. The glaze is flowing. We fast forward to the cooling phase. The fire is out. The kiln is cooling down. You listen closely. Tink, tink, ping. It is the sound of the glaze crazing, forming tiny intentional cracks as it cools. The ice crackle glaze. It sounds like distant wind chimes. The door of the kiln is opened. The heat that rushes out is dry and comforting. The pots are taken out, still warm to the touch. You pick one up in the simulation, a tea bowl. It fits perfectly in your cupped hands. It is rough in some places, smooth in others. It has the weight of the earth. You feel the connection between the clay, the fire, and the hand. It is a connection that goes back thousands of years. It grounds you. It reminds you that even through fire, things endure and become beautiful. We leave the heat of the kiln and seek the cool breeze of the coast. The simulation puts you on a train, but not the high-speed rail this time. We are on the breezy blue train, the old, ordinary express on the South Link line. The windows are open. There is no air conditioning, only the ceiling fans spinning lazily. Whirr, click, whirr, click. The seats are covered in green vinyl, shiny and smooth. The train is moving slowly along the southeast coast. On one side, the steep green mountains of the Central Range. On the other, the vast blue Pacific Ocean. The rhythm of the train on the tracks is a classic lullaby. Clack, clack, whoosh, clack, clack, whoosh. You lean your arm on the windowsill. The wind rushes past, blowing your hair back. It smells of salt spray and diesel and jungle flowers. You enter a tunnel. The world goes dark. The sound of the train is amplified, echoing off the walls. Roar, rattle, roar, rattle. It is loud, encompassing. Then a burst of light. You are out again. The ocean is blindingly bright. The contrast is thrilling, then soothing. You watch the waves crashing on the rocky beaches below. The water is turquoise, clear and inviting. There is no one on the beach. It is wild. The train is a metal caterpillar crawling along the edge of the continent. You see a small station approaching. Duoyang Station. It is perched on the hillside, a platform of red railings against the blue sea. The train slows down. Squeak, it stops. The silence rushes in to fill the space left by the engine. You hear the birds singing in the trees. You hear the waves. You step out onto the platform. The view is endless. Just the tracks, the railing, and the horizon. You sit on a bench. The sun warms the metal. You close your eyes and listen to the ocean. It is the breathing of the planet. In and out, in and out. You are waiting for nothing. You are simply arriving. The simulation drifts further south and east, crossing the water to Laniu, Orchid Island, the home of the Tao people. This is a volcanic island, jutting sharply out of the sea. The rock is black, the vegetation is lush and tropical. We walk down to a beach of black sand. We see the traditional canoes, the asterisk Taitala. They are carved by hand from wood, painted in white, red, and black. They have high, curved stems and sterns, decorated with geometric patterns, and the eye of the boat, the circle with concentric rings. The simulation shows you the carving process. A man is working on a piece of wood with a small adze. Chop, chip, chop, chip. He is following the grain of the wood. He is speaking to the wood, asking it to be a good boat, to be safe on the waves. The boat is not just a tool, it is a spirit. It is made of different types of wood for different parts, pegged together with wooden dowels. No nails, it is flexible. It moves with the water, not against it. You watch the launch of a boat. The men carry it to the water's edge. They chant a rhythmic song. Heave, ho, heave, ho. The boat slides into the surf. It rides the waves like a seabird. You go inland, to the underground houses. To protect against the fierce typhoons that sweep through this region, the Tao people build their houses in pits, roofed with thatch that sits level with the ground. You descend the stone steps into the main room. It is dark, cool, and smells of wood smoke. The floor is polished wood. You sit there, listening to the wind howling outside in the simulation. But down here, you are safe. The earth hugs the house. The wind passes over you, leaving you untouched. It is a womb-like safety. Deep, enclosed, protected. You feel the wisdom of this architecture. It does not fight the storm, it ducks beneath it. The simulation pulls back to a high-altitude view, looking at the East Rift Valley. This is the seam where two tectonic plates meet. The Philippine Sea Plate is pushing against the Eurasian Plate. Usually, we think of this as violent earthquakes, but the simulation speeds up time to show you the slow, majestic dance of geology. The mountains are rising, millimeter by millimeter. You watch the coastal range lifting up from the sea. It is a slow-motion collision. The earth is folding like a blanket. It is not destructive, it is creative. It is building new land. You see the river in the valley floor, the Ziaguluan River. It cuts through the rising mountains. The water wears down the rock as the rock rises. It is a balance of forces, uplift and erosion, growth and decay. You float over the rice paddies of Kishang again, but this time we focus on the Taikshi Kaneshiro tree, a single, large bishopwood tree standing in the middle of the endless green fields. It offers shade. That is its only purpose, to be a shelter from the sun. You sit under the tree in the simulation. The canopy is a green umbrella. The light filters through the leaves, creating a mosaic of sun and shadow on the ground. You lean your back against the trunk. The bark is rough. The tree is solid. You watch the rice stalks waving in the wind, a sea of green ripples, swish, swish, swish. A teapot sits on a stone nearby. You pour a cup. The tea is golden. You sip it, looking out at the mountains. The clouds are snagged on the peaks, tearing into wisps of cotton. The simulation moves us to the city of Taipei again, but to the very center, to the Taipei 101 Tower. We are not looking at the view from the top. We are looking at the heart of the building, the tuned mass damper. It is a massive steel sphere, painted gold, suspended between the 87th and 92nd floors. It weighs 660 tons. It hangs from thick steel cables. Its job is to swing. When the wind blows and the tower sways, the ball swings in the opposite direction. It counteracts the movement. It keeps the building steady. The simulation shows you the physics of it. A typhoon is blowing outside. The tower leans slightly to the right. The ball swings slowly, majestically to the left. Swing, slow, the tower leans back. The ball swings right, swing, slow. It is a pendulum of safety, a giant golden heart that beats in opposition to the storm. You stand on the viewing platform, watching the damper move. It is silent, heavy, powerful. It absorbs the energy of the wind. It is a comforting thought that even in the tallest tower there is a mechanism for balance, a heavy center that keeps everything grounded. You feel your own center of gravity lowering. You are the damper. You are heavy. You are stable. You balance the winds of your own mind. We leave the tower and go to the streets below in the early morning rain. It is the plum rain season, a time of continuous light rain. The sky is a uniform, soft gray. The rain falls straight down. Shhhhhh. It washes the dust from the palm trees. It creates puddles that reflect the neon signs of the convenience stores. You are walking with an umbrella. The sound of the rain on the fabric is a personal drumbeat. Tap, tap, patter, patter. You are in a dry bubble moving through the wet world. You pass a small park. The benches are wet. The playground is empty. A snail is making its way across the sidewalk. It leaves a silver trail. You stop to watch it. It moves with incredible slowness. It carries its home on its back. It is never in a rush. It is always home. The simulation takes you to a place of archives, the National Central Library. We go to the rare books room. The air is climate-controlled, cool, and consistent. You smell the scent of old paper, of ink, of history. The simulation shows you a manuscript from the Song Dynasty. The paper is yellowed, soft as cloth. The calligraphy is black and sharp. You watch the dust motes floating in the silent air. They settle on the shelves. This is a place where time stops. The words in the books are sleeping, waiting for eyes to wake them up. You feel the safety of the archive. The knowledge is protected. The stories are safe. The walls are thick. The fire suppression system is active. The humidity is monitored. Everything is under control. We drift to the coast of Yilan, to the Lanyang Museum. The building itself looks like a rock sinking into the wetland. It is tilted, mimicking the cuestas, the geological formations of the coast. Inside, the light filters through glass walls, casting shadows that look like water. You walk through the exhibits, a model of a fishing boat, a display of rice varieties, a recording of indigenous songs. You find a quiet corner looking out at Gishan Island, Turtle Island, floating in the mist. The island looks like a giant turtle swimming on the horizon. It is a volcanic island breathing steam, but from here, it is a silhouette of peace. The simulation brings you to the early morning rituals of the city. It is 4:00 a.m. The city is still dark, but the breakfast shops are waking up. We enter a soy milk shop. The air is thick with steam. Hiss, whoosh. Huge metal steamers are cooking basket after basket of *Zio Longbao and Mantu *. The smell is sweet and savory. The smell of cooked dough, of soybeans, of sesame oil. You watch the workers. They are a team. One rolls the dough. One fills the dumplings. One watches the fire. It is a silent ballet of preparation. They don't need to speak. They know the rhythm. Roll, fill, pinch, place, roll, fill, pinch, place. You watch a pot of soy milk bubbling gently. A worker skims the skin off the top. It is creamy, rich. He ladles it into a bowl. He adds a splash of vinegar, some chili oil, some dried shrimp, some scallions. The salty soy milk curdles slightly, becoming a savory soup. You sit at a small metal table in the corner. You wrap your hands around the warm bowl. The heat seeps into your fingers. You take a sip. It is comfort in liquid form. Outside, the delivery trucks are starting their rounds. We follow a blue truck carrying gas canisters. Clang, clack. The sound of the metal canisters hitting each other is a morning bell. The driver navigates the narrow alleys with precision. He is delivering the fuel for the day's cooking. We follow a truck carrying flowers to the market. The back is open. It is a mobile garden. Lilies, chrysanthemums, roses. The scent trails behind the truck, mixing with the exhaust and the rain. We follow a mail carrier on a green scooter. He is stopping at every mailbox. Stop, drop, go. He is weaving the city together with letters and packages. The simulation emphasizes the interconnectedness of these routines. The city works because everyone plays their part. The baker, the driver, the mailman. It is a web of cooperation. We move to the botanical gardens in Taipei, the lotus pond. It is dawn. The lotus flowers are closed, tight buds of pink and white. You sit on a wooden bench at the edge of the pond. You watch. Slowly, as the light increases, the flowers begin to open. It is a movement so slow you can barely see it, but you can feel it. A dragonfly lands on a lotus pod. It is iridescent blue. It sits perfectly still. Then, zip, it is gone. The leaves of the lotus are large and waxy. A drop of water sits in the center of one leaf. It rolls around like a jewel of mercury. It catches the light. You listen to the sounds of the garden waking up. A squirrel chattering, a heron squawking, the rustle of bamboo. The distant hum of the city is just a background drone, a white noise that frames the silence of the garden. The simulation takes you to the hot springs of Beidou. We go to a private bathhouse built of cypress wood. The smell of the hinoki wood is overwhelming, aromatic, resinous, calming. The bath is made of stone. The water is steaming, milky with sulfur. You slide into the water. It is hot, bordering on too hot, but then your body adjusts. The heat penetrates your muscles. You let out a long sigh. Ah. You look out the window. It is raining on the ferns outside. The steam from the bath rises and mixes with the mist from the rain. You are in a cloud. You are water in water. You close your eyes. You listen to the water trickling from the bamboo pipe. Trickle, splash, trickle, splash. It is the only sound in the world. The narration shifts to the deep ocean again, to the underwater cables that we saw earlier. But now, we follow the data itself. We visualize a message of love. A good night text sent from a mother in Taipei to a son in London. We see the text as a packet of light. It travels from the phone, to the cell tower, to the ground station, to the cable. It dives into the ocean. It travels at the speed of light along the glass fiber. It passes the coral reefs, the whales, the shipwrecks. It climbs the continental shelf on the other side. It arrives. The simulation shows you the web of these messages. Millions of I love yous, I miss yous, sleep wells. They are crisscrossing the ocean floor constantly. The ocean is not a barrier, it is a bridge of voices. You feel the warmth of that connection. You are part of that web. You are never truly alone. We return to the high mountains, to the Hehuanshan Road again. But this time it is winter. Snow has fallen. It is rare but beautiful. The bamboo along the road is weighed down by the snow. The road is a white ribbon. The air is silent, muffled by the snow. You are standing at the peak. The world is white and gray. The clouds are below you. You are in the clear air above. The sun is shining, bright and cold. You breathe in the ice-cold air. It wakes up every cell in your lungs. You exhale a cloud of steam. You are a dragon breathing mist. The simulation shows you a single icicle hanging from a rock. It is melting in the sun. Drip, wait, drip, wait. You count the seconds between the drops. 1, 2, 3, drip. It is the clock of the mountain. We drift down to the Rift Valley again, to a sugar apple orchard. The fruit are ripe. They look like green, bumpy hearts. The farmer is harvesting them. He handles them gently, wrapping each one in a protective foam net. He treats them like porcelain. He packs them into boxes. You can smell the fruit, sweet, custard-like, a smell of abundance. The earth has given its gift. The simulation moves us to a small fishing harbor in Yilan. It is the afternoon auction. The catch has just been brought in. Baskets of shrimp, red and glistening. Silver scabbard fish, long and shiny like swords. Squid, translucent and changing color. The auctioneer is chanting, a rhythmic, fast-paced song of numbers. Hoi 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 50 hoi 60. The buyers nod. Fingers flash. It is a dance of commerce. But in the simulation, it is a slow-motion ballet. You see the nod of a head, the twitch of a finger, the exchange of a ticket. It is an ancient system of trust. We drift back to the room where you are sitting. The simulation screen is showing a live feed of the Earth from space again. The Pacific Ocean is a vast blue marble. The clouds are white swirls. You can see the typhoon spinning slowly hundreds of miles away. It is not a threat. It is just energy, a heat engine of nature. You see the island of Taiwan, a leaf floating on the ocean, green and mountainous. You feel the chair supporting you. You feel gravity holding you down. You are anchored. The simulation dims the lights further. The screen becomes a dark blue, the color of the deep sea, the color of the indigo vat. It is time to let the images fade. We go to a final location for this segment, a tea plantation in the mist, but underground. We are looking at the roots of the tea bushes. The simulation shows you the soil, dark, rich, full of life. You see the roots stretching down, seeking water, seeking nutrients. You see the network of mycelium, the fungal threads that connect the roots, the wood wide web. The trees are talking to each other, sharing sugar, sharing warnings. It is a hidden community. You are looking at the foundation of the forest. It is strong. It is interconnected. It holds the soil together. You feel your own roots growing down, through the floor, through the building, into the earth. You are grounded. You are stable. The narrator's voice is just a murmur now. The simulation is running on standby. It is just monitoring the heartbeat of the island. Thump, 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 thump. The waves on the shore, whoosh, hush, whoosh, hush. The wind in the bamboo, creak-clack, creak-clack. The swing of the damper, left, right, left, right. All is in rhythm. All is in order. You can drift. You can float. You can sleep. The simulation will keep watch. The simulation hums with a low, steady vibration, a sound that feels less like a machine and more like the purring of a large, resting animal. It is a comforting presence in the room, a reminder that the systems of the world are functioning, that the observation continues even as you drift deeper into relaxation. The screen before you, currently displaying the deep indigo of the soil and the mycelial networks, begins to brighten slowly, shifting its focus from the earth beneath to the canopy above. We rise through the soil, past the roots of the tea bushes, up through the woody stems, and emerge into the misty air of the Alishan Mountains. It is early morning in the simulation. The sun is a diffused glow behind a thick blanket of white fog. This is the cloud sea at eye level. The air is cool and moist, filled with the scent of damp bark and crushed leaves. You are standing in the middle of a forest of cryptomeria trees. They are tall and straight, their trunks rising like pillars in a green cathedral. The mist moves through them in slow, ghostly drifts. It muffles all sound. The silence here is thick, padded by the moss that covers everything, the ground, the rocks, the lower trunks of the trees. You reach out and touch a patch of moss. It is soft, like velvet, holding droplets of water from the morning dew. When you press it, water releases onto your finger, cool and pure. Press, release, press, release. It is a sponge of life drinking from the cloud. The simulation guides you to a small wooden pavilion, weathered gray by years of rain. You sit on the bench. You watch the mist swirling around the tree trunks. It reveals and conceals. A branch appears, then vanishes. A fern uncurls from the white void, then retreats. It is a slow, hypnotic dance of visibility. You listen to the water dripping from the canopy. Drip, plip, drop. It lands on the broad leaves of a plantain lily. Tat-tat, tat-tat. It is the only clock you need, the rhythm of the forest. From the high mountains, the simulation drifts downwards, following the path of the water to the Puli Basin. Here, the water is famous for its purity. It is the heart of paper making. We enter a traditional paper mill. The air inside smells of wet pulp and mulberry bark. It is an earthy, clean smell. You see large vats filled with a milky white liquid. This is the suspension of fibers, floating in water. You watch a master papermaker at work. He holds a bamboo screen in a wooden frame. He dips it into the vat. Dip, slosh, lift. The movement is fluid, practiced. He rocks the screen gently from side to side. Swish, swish. This settles the fibers, interlocking them into a uniform sheet. The water drains away through the mesh. Drip, drip, drain. What is left is a wet, fragile sheet of paper. He transfers it onto a stack of other wet sheets. It is a delicate operation. One wrong move and the paper tears, but his hands are steady. They know the weight of the water. You watch the stack grow, layer upon layer of potential. This paper will hold calligraphy, paintings, poems. It will hold the culture. The simulation zooms in on the fibers drying. You see them shrinking, bonding, becoming strong. It is a transformation from liquid to solid, from chaos to order. We leave the mill and travel to the coast of Tainan, to the Jingzhe-jiao tile-paved salt fields. It is late afternoon. The sun is beginning to dip towards the horizon. The fields are a checkerboard of shallow pools, lined with broken pottery tiles. The water in the pools is evaporating, leaving behind pyramids of white salt. You walk along the narrow ridges between the pools, the salt crunching under your feet. Crunch, crunch, you see the workers raking the salt. Scrape, pile, scrape, pile. The sound is rhythmic, dry, repetitive. The sun reflects off the water in the pools. It turns the fields into a mosaic of mirrors. Orange, pink, gold. The pyramids of salt look like snow-capped mountains in miniature. You crouch down and touch a crystal of salt. It is hard, geometric, sharp. It tastes of the concentrated ocean. It is the essence of the sea, crystallized by the sun. It is preservation. It keeps things safe. It keeps food from spoiling. It is a mineral of longevity. The simulation holds the image of the sunset over the salt fields, the light fatting from gold to violet, the silhouette of a solitary egret standing on a ridge, watching the water. The bird is still, perfectly balanced on one leg, waiting, watching. Now we move to the wetlands of Gayame, a vast expanse of mudflats at low tide. A long wooden boardwalk stretches out into the sea. You are walking on the boardwalk. The wind is blowing, ruffling your hair. You see the giant wind turbines in the distance, turning slowly. Whoosh, round, whoosh, round. They are the modern windmills harvesting the gale. To your left and right, the mud is alive. Thousands of small crabs are waving their claws. Mud skippers are hopping across the surface. It is a busy, teeming city of small creatures. But the sky above is huge and empty, a vast dome of blue turning to gray. You feel exposed, but safe on the wooden path. You are walking into the ocean, but you are dry. The simulation shifts to the architectural wonder of the National Taichung Theater. We are not inside for a performance, but to see the building itself. It is designed like a cave, with curved walls and no straight lines. You walk through the lobby. The walls flow into the ceiling, the floor flows into the walls. It feels organic, like being inside a giant shell or a resonant ear. You find a quiet corner, a sound cave. The acoustics are perfect. You hear the sound of your own breathing amplified. In, out. You hear the footsteps of a person walking far away on the other side of the hall. Click, clack. The building is breathing. The air circulation system is silent but effective, moving cool air through the curves. You run your hand along the smooth concrete wall. It is cool, polished. It feels like bone. We leave the city and go to the calm waters of Sun Moon Lake again, but this time to the bicycle path that circles the water. It has been called one of the most beautiful rides in the world. You are riding a bicycle in the simulation. The tires hum on the pavement. Hum. The air is fresh. You ride over a bridge that curves over the water. You look down. The water is jade green. You can see the fish swimming deep below. You pass through a bamboo forest. The light flickers through the leaves. Flicker, flash, flicker, flash. The sound of the wind in the bamboo is a dry rustle. You stop at a small pier. You sit on the edge, dangling your legs. A boat is crossing the lake in the distance. It leaves a white wake that spreads out in a V shape. The wake travels slowly across the glass-like surface until it reaches the shore below you, lapping gently against the pilings. Lap, lap, lap. The simulation takes you now to the southern tip of the island, to the Longpan Park. It is a limestone plateau overlooking the Pacific. The grass is short and wind-blown. The cliffs drop vertically to the sea. You stand on the edge, safely back behind the simulation's barrier. You look down at the waves crashing on the rocks. From this height, the sound is just a murmur. The white foam looks like lace spread over the blue water. The wind here is constant. It is the downhill wind, blowing from the mountains to the sea. You lean into it. It supports you. It feels like a physical wall of air. You watch a kestrel hovering in the updraft. It hangs motionless in the air, its wings making tiny adjustments. It is locked in space, eyes scanning the ground. It is a master of the wind. The simulation moves us to the east coast, to the stone steps, Shitiping. Here, the volcanic rock has been carved by the sea into white terraces. It looks like a giant staircase leading into the ocean. You walk on the white rock. It is warm from the sun. Potholes have been drilled into the stone by pebbles swirling in the waves over thousands of years. They are perfect circles, filled with seawater and small fish. You sit in one of the natural stone benches carved by the elements. You watch the tide coming in. A wave fills a lower pool, then it spills over into the next, and the next. A cascading fountain of seawater, splash, trickle, splash, trickle. It is a natural water feature, designed by the ocean. You could watch it for hours. The repetition is soothing. The water always finds its way down. We drift inland to the East Rift Valley, to the mesmerizing sight of the Golden Needle Flower, fields on 60 Stone Mountain. It is late summer in the simulation. The entire mountain is covered in orange daylilies. It looks like a carpet of fire, but cool and soft. The flowers are swaying in the mountain breeze. You walk through the fields. The scent is faint and sweet. You see the farmers harvesting the flowers. They pick the buds before they open. These will be dried and used in soup. It is a harvest of color. The sun is setting over the valley. The orange of the flowers blends with the orange of the sky. The world is a monochrome of warmth. You feel bathed in golden light. It's so warm, so comforting. The simulation takes you now to the bustling, yet orderly, wholesale flower market in Nihu in the very early morning. We are looking at the orchids again. Taiwan is the kingdom of orchids. You see rows of phalaenopsis, moth orchids, White, pink, purple, spotted. Their stems are arched gracefully, clipped to support wires. You watch a worker packing them for export. He wraps the pot in moss. He wraps the flowers in soft paper. He places them in a box with air holes. These flowers are travelers. They will fly on planes to Japan, to America, to Europe. They carry the humidity and the beauty of the island with them. They are ambassadors of peace. You focus on the roots of an orchid. They are thick, silver green. They are air roots. They drink from the air. They do not need deep soil. They are adaptable, resilient, beautiful. We move to the high-tech heart of H. Sinchu again, to the Synchrotron Radiation Research Center. It is a massive ring-shaped building. Inside, electrons are accelerated to near the speed of light to produce super bright light for research. It sounds intense, but the simulation shows you the quiet control room, monitors glowing, scientists sipping coffee, watching the graphs. The beam of light is circling the ring, round and round. It is stable. It is precise. It is used to look at the structure of viruses, the composition of ancient artifacts, the chemistry of new batteries. It is a light that reveals the truth of things, a light that heals. You feel the hum of the magnets keeping the beam on track. It is a magnetic cradle for the light. The simulation drifts to the old streets of Lukang again. We enter a traditional incense factory. The air is thick with the dust of sandalwood and agarwood. You watch the incense maker. He takes a bundle of bamboo sticks. He dips them in water. Then he tosses them in a tray of incense powder. He shakes the tray, shake, shake, toss, the sticks dance. They coat themselves evenly in the powder. He repeats the process. Dip, shake, dip, shake. It is a rhythmic, full-body movement. The powder flies in the air like a scented cloud. The sticks grow thicker. Then he lays them out to dry in the sun. They are arranged in fan shapes, spirals, circles on the ground. They look like geometric flowers made of brown dust. The smell is holy. It is the smell of temples, of prayer, of meditation. It quiets the mind. You breathe it in. It settles deep in your chest. We travel to the northern coast, to the strange and beautiful Layame Green Reef. It is spring. The volcanic rock trenches on the beach are covered in vibrant green algae. The waves crash over the green furrows. The water drains out in white streams. It looks like a green zebra stripe pattern on the beach. You stand on the sand, watching the water rush into the trenches. Whoosh, gurgle, the algae is soft, slippery, alive. It only lasts for a few months. It is a seasonal gift, a reminder to appreciate the moment. The simulation moves us to the suspended silence of a library of vinyl records in Taipei. The room is wood-paneled, warm, lit by brass lamps. You sit in a leather armchair. You put on a pair of heavy headphones. You watch a record spinning on a turntable. The needle drops, click, hiss, music. It is an old Taiwanese folk song, a slow, melancholic melody played on a moon guitar. The voice is crackly, distant, but full of emotion. You watch the black disc spinning, round and round. The spiral groove holds the sound. It is a physical memory of a voice from the past. You are connected to that moment of recording. The room is silent. Only you can hear the music. You are in a private bubble of sound. We go to the high mountains of Hehuanshan again, but this time to see the sea of clouds at sunset. The clouds have filled the valleys below, thick and white as cotton wool. The setting sun paints the top of the cloud layer in pink, lavender, and gold. It looks like you could walk on it. It looks like a solid floor. The peaks of the central mountain range poke through the clouds like islands in a mystical ocean. You feel a sense of detachment from the world below. The cities, the roads, the noise, they are all buried under the blanket of white. Up here there is only the wind and the light. The air is thin and cold. You pull your imaginary collar up. You watch the sun dip below the horizon. The sky turns a deep, bruised purple. The first star appears. The simulation shifts to the heavily forested mountains of Tapingshan. We are riding the Bong Bong train, a small, yellow engine pulling open-air carriages on a narrow track. It was once a logging railway. Now it carries visitors through the mist. Clack, clack, Bong bong, the sound echoes off the trees. You pass over high wooden trestle bridges. You look down into deep ravines filled with ferns. The air smells of cypress and hinoki wood. It is a prehistoric landscape. Ancient, green, wet. You feel the vibration of the train on the wooden seats. It is a gentle massage. You are moving through a tunnel of green leaves. We go to the southern tip, to the Shedding Nature Park. We are walking through a canyon made of uplifted coral reef. The walls are jagged, porous rock. Roots of banyan trees drape down the walls like curtains. You have to brush them aside to pass. It feels like an adventure, like exploring a lost world. But the path is clear, you are safe. You see a herd of sika deer in the clearing. They are spotted, elegant. They freeze when they see you, ears twitching, then they bound away into the forest. Thump, thump, thump. The simulation takes us to the flat, expansive plains of Yilan. We are looking at the water-filled rice paddies in winter. They are not planted yet. They are flooded, waiting for spring. They act as mirrors for the sky. The houses appear to be floating on water. The clouds are reflected perfectly. The world is doubled. You see a flock of ducks paddling in a paddy. They are cleaning the field, eating the snails and insects. It is a natural cycle, ducks and rice. You hear the asterisk quack, quack, splash of the ducks. They are happy, they are busy. We move to the city of Kaohsiung, to the Lotus Pond. We enter the dragon and tiger pagodas. You enter through the dragon's mouth and exit through the tiger's mouth. It is said to turn bad luck into good fortune. You walk through the tunnel of the dragon's body. The walls are painted with scenes of heaven and hell, of virtue and vice. But in the simulation, they are just colorful murals. You climb the spiral staircase to the top of the pagoda. You look out over the lake. The lotus leaves stretch for acres. The city skyline is in the distance, a jagged line of gray against the blue. You feel a sense of accomplishment. You have passed through the dragon. You are safe. You are lucky. The simulation drifts to the offshore wind farms in the Taiwan Strait again. We are hovering right next to one of the turbine blades. It is massive, a curved wing of fiberglass sweeping past you. Whoosh! It is slow, majestic. You can see the salt spray on the blade. You look down at the yellow foundation pile, driven deep into the seabed. The waves crash against it, but it stands firm. It is harvesting the energy of the strait. You see a maintenance boat docking at the base. The crew transfers to the turbine. They are small figures in bright orange suits. They climb the ladder. They are the keepers of the wind. The simulation emphasizes the scale, the power, the stability. We go to the subterranean world of the Taipei main station, the labyrinth of underground malls. It is a city beneath the city. You walk past shops selling video games, books, clothes. You smell the aroma of coffee buns baking, a sweet, buttery smell that fills the tunnels. You see students practicing dance in the reflective glass of the closed store windows. They are moving in unison. Step, turn, step, turn. They are focused, energetic. The underground is bright, safe, dry. It connects the trains, the buses, the metro. It is the arteries of the city. You flow along with the crowd, a blood cell in the system. We move to the quiet of a traditional tea ceremony in a wooden tea house in Jiufen. The view from the window is of the misty ocean and the Keelung Mountain. The tea master is rinsing the cups with hot water. Swish, pour, the steam rises. She places the tea leaves in the small clay pot, high mountain oolong. The leaves are rolled into tight balls. She pours the water from a height. The sound is high-pitched like a mountain stream. Tinkle, splash. She covers the pot. She pours hot water over the outside of the pot to keep the temperature even. The pot dries instantly in the heat. It turns from dark wet clay to dry matte clay, a subtle magic. She pours the tea into a pitcher, then into the sniffing cups. You are supposed to smell the aroma first. You lift the tall cup to your nose. It smells of orchids, cream, and wet stones. You pour the tea into the tasting cup. You take a sip. It coats your tongue. It is sweet, floral, with a lingering aftertaste. The hui gan, the returning sweetness. You look out the window at the fog rolling in over the mountain. The red lanterns of the tea house are swaying gently. You are warm inside. You have the tea. You have the view. You have the silence. The simulation takes us to the workshops of the lantern makers in Beigang. They are making the giant floats for the Lantern Festival. Wire frames are bent into shapes. Dragons, gods, cartoon characters. The artisans are welding the wire. ZZZZT. Spark. Then they cover the frames with fabric, stretching the silk tight, gluing it down, painting the details, eyes, scales, clouds. You see a finished lantern being lit for the test. It glows from within, a warm, yellow light. It comes alive. It is a creature of light. The simulation shows you the festival night. Thousands of lanterns floating in the sky, like a river of stars flowing upwards. Each lantern carries a wish written on the side. Peace, health, love. You watch them drift higher and higher until they are just specks of light. Then they fade into the stars. Your wish goes with them. We move to the calm waters of the Dapeng Bay. We are looking at the oyster farms, rafts of bamboo floating on the water, strings of oyster shells hanging down. You are on a small boat, gliding between the rafts. The water is flat, oily calm. The sun is beating down. You watch the oyster farmers pulling up a string. The oysters are clustered together, heavy and wet. They clean them, shuck them. The meat is plump, gray-white. It is a harvest of the sea, quiet, sustainable. The oysters filter the water, making it cleaner. It is a partnership. The simulation takes us to the moon world in Kaohsiung, a landscape of badlands. Barren, gray mudstone hills with sharp ridges. It looks like the surface of the moon. There are no trees here, just the gray earth and the blue sky. It is stark, minimal. You walk along a path between the hills. The silence is absolute. The mudstone absorbs sound. You feel like you are on another planet. But then you see a small pond in the valley, a reflection of the gray hills. A single green bamboo stalk growing at the edge, life persisting in the barrenness. It is a landscape of solitude, of stripping away the unnecessary. We drift to the northern coast again, to the Keelung Islet, a steep volcanic rock sitting in the sea. We hike the trail to the lighthouse at the top. The path is steep, surrounded by wild lilies, white trumpets blowing in the sea breeze. You reach the top. The lighthouse is black and white. You look back at the mainland. You can see the harbor, the mountains, the city. You are the sentinel. You are the watcher on the rock. The ocean surrounds you 360 degrees. You feel the curvature of the earth. The simulation zooms out again to the satellite view. It shows the flow of air traffic. Planes are moving dots, following invisible highways in the sky. They are approaching the island, circling, landing, taking off, climbing, banking. It is a choreography of flight. You watch the lines of connection stretching out to Tokyo, to Seoul, to Hong Kong, to San Francisco. The island is a hub, a point of connection. The narrator's voice becomes a whisper. We are returning to the microscopic level, to the fibers of the indigo cloth, to the pores of the clay pot, to the cells of the tea leaf. We are slowing down. The simulation shows you a single drop of rain falling on a lotus leaf. It hits the leaf, plop. It shatters into tiny droplets. They roll back together. They merge. They become one again. It is a lesson in resilience, in coming back together. You are feeling heavy. The simulation is doing the work for you. It is processing the data. It is watching the waves. It is counting the stars. You can close your eyes. The screen is fading to black. But the hum remains. The safety remains. The hum of the simulation deepens, vibrating through the imaginary floorboards of the room, grounding you in this space of absolute safety. The screen, having faded to black, now begins to bloom with a new color, a soft, iridescent purple. We are traveling to the southern valleys of Maulan to witness a migration not of people, but of wings. It is winter in the simulation, but here in the valley, the air is mild. You are standing in the purple butterfly valley. Millions of Euplea butterflies have arrived to escape the cold of the north. They hang from the branches of the trees in clusters, looking like dried leaves. Then the morning sun hits the canopy. The warmth wakes them. Flutter, shiver, open, the clusters break apart. Suddenly the air is filled with purple. It is a blizzard of wings. They spiral upwards, catching the thermal currents. You stand perfectly still. The butterflies land on your shoulders, on your hands. They are light, weightless. You can see the iridescence on their wings, shades of violet, indigo, and blue that shift as they move. It is a physical manifestation of fragility finding strength in numbers. The simulation shows you the highway that cuts through their migration path, but there is no danger here. The authorities have set up protective nets. Ultraviolet lights guide the butterflies safely over the traffic. You watch the cars slowing down, the drivers respecting the passage of these tiny lives. It is a gesture of care, a society pausing for the sake of beauty. We leave the butterflies and travel north, ascending to the high-altitude farms of Wuling. It is spring here. The cherry blossoms are in full bloom. A tunnel of pink flowers stretches along the road. The petals are falling, drift, float, land. The ground is covered in a pink carpet. You walk through the tunnel. The light is filtered, rosy and soft. The air smells floral and sweet. You see the Formosan macaques sitting in the trees. Eating the blossoms, they pick a flower, inspect it, and nibble. Snap, crunch. They are relaxed, grooming each other, watching the tourists. The simulation zooms in on the hand of a monkey, small and leather-palmed, holding a delicate flower. It is a moment of pure, wild peace. The simulation drifts to the Hakka town of Mainang. We enter a workshop that smells of wood and tung oil. We are here to see the making of oil paper umbrellas. The artisan is constructing the frame from bamboo. He splits the bamboo into thin, flexible ribs. Split, crack, split, crack. He assembles them into a skeleton. It is a complex geometry of support. Then the paper is pasted on. It is smooth, strong cotton paper. He paints it with bold calligraphy and flowers, peonies for wealth, plum blossoms for resilience. Finally, the oiling. He brushes the tung oil onto the paper. Brush, smooth, brush, smooth. The oil makes the paper translucent and waterproof. It turns the umbrella into a shield against the rain. You watch the finished umbrellas drying in the sun. They look like colorful mushrooms sprouting in the courtyard. You pick one up. It is heavy, solid. You open it. Snap. The sound of the latch engaging is satisfying. You spin it. The colors blur into a wheel. You are ready for any storm. The simulation takes you to the streets of a residential neighborhood in New Taipei City at twilight. You hear a melody drifting through the air. It is Beethoven, Für Elise, played in a tinny, electronic tone. It is the garbage truck. In most places, trash collection is hidden. Here, it is a community ritual. You watch the neighbors coming out of their homes. They are carrying bags of recycling. They are chatting. Have you eaten? How is your mother? They stand in an orderly line. The yellow truck arrives, the music getting louder. Da-da-da-da-da. The workers toss the bags into the compactor. It is efficient, communal, rhythmic. Then the truck moves on, the music fading into the distance. The neighbors disperse. The street is clean. The ritual is complete. It is a small, daily act of civilization. We move to the rugged east coast, to the Qingshui Cliffs. These are some of the highest coastal cliffs in the world, marble and gneiss rising vertically from the Pacific. The simulation puts you on the old Suhua Highway, now a walking trail. You look down. The ocean is a gradient of color, from milky turquoise near the shore to deep sapphire further out. You watch the waves crashing against the base of the cliffs, thousands of feet below. The sound is a distant asterisk hiss asterisk. You feel the solidity of the rock face next to you. It has stood against the typhoons for eons. You see a train emerging from a tunnel in the cliff face. It is the Taroko Express. It flashes past, a streak of orange and white, then disappears into the next tunnel. Whoosh, gone. It is a needle threading through the stone. You admire the engineering that allows for this safe passage through such wild terrain. The simulation drifts inland to the Rift Valley again, to the indigenous village of Bulwen. It is situated on a terrace above the gorge. We are watching the women weaving on backstrap looms. The weaver sits on the floor, her legs stretched out. The loom is strapped to her waist. She uses her body weight to keep the tension. Lean back, pull, lean forward, relax. She passes the shuttle through the threads. Click, clack, the pattern emerges, diamonds, triangles, the eyes of the ancestors. The cloth is thick, heavy, durable. It is a rhythm of the body. The weaver is part of the machine. Her breath syncs with the movement of the shuttle. You watch her hands, weathered and strong, manipulating the fine threads. It is a connection to the past that is woven, row by row, into the present. We move to the academic quiet of National Taiwan University in Taipei. We walk down the Royal Palm Boulevard. The palm trees are tall, regal, lining the wide road. Students are riding bicycles, hundreds of them, the sound of the freewheels clicking. Tick, 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 the squeak of a brake, the ring of a bell, ding, ding. It is a flow of youth and knowledge. You enter the main library. The air is cool and smells of old wood. You find a desk by a window looking out at the azaleas blooming in the garden. You open a book. It is a book of poetry. You read the characters. They are shapes of ink carrying meaning across time. You feel the silence of the library wrapping around you, a silence that is full of thoughts. The simulation takes you to the industrial coast of Mailao. We are looking at the massive wind turbines again, but this time at sunset. The sky is a blaze of orange. The blades are turning black against the light. Slice, slice, slice. They are harvesting the wind. You see the lights of the petrochemical plant nearby. It is a complex city of pipes and towers glittering like a jewel box. Steam rises from the cooling towers, turning pink in the sunset. It is a landscape of industry, but in the simulation, it is peaceful. It is the engine that powers the lights, the computers, the warmth of the homes. We drift to the wetlands of Siko, the green tunnel. It is a mangrove forest. You are on a bamboo raft gliding slowly through a canal. The mangrove trees form a canopy overhead. It is a tunnel of green leaves. The light is filtered, dappled. The water is still, reflecting the trees perfectly. You look down. You can't tell where the water ends and the reflection begins. You are floating in a sphere of green. You see a fiddler crab on a root, waving its giant claw. It is signaling. You see a white egret standing in the shallows, still as a statue. The guide on the raft speaks in a whisper. He points out the birds' nests. The ecosystem is fragile, but here, protected. You trail your hand in the cool water. It feels silky. The simulation moves us to the ceremony of the king boat in Donggang. This is a festival to ward off disease and bring peace. We are in the shipyard where the boat is being built. It is a massive wooden junk painted in exquisite detail. Gold leaf, red lacquer, intricate carvings of soldiers and sailors. You watch the master carpenter. He is carving the dragon on the prow. Chip, smooth, he blows the wood shavings away. Woo-oh. The boat is not meant to sail on water, but on fire. But for now, it is being built with the care of a vessel meant to last forever. It is a labor of faith. You see the villagers coming to offer bags of rice and supplies to be loaded onto the boat. It is a community pooling its resources for a common hope. Safety, health, peace. The simulation fast-forwards to the night of the burning. The boat is dragged to the beach. It is piled high with paper money. Then the fire is lit. Crackle, roar. The flames consume the boat. It turns into light and heat. It carries the bad luck away. You watch the sparks flying up into the night sky, joining the stars. It is a release, a cleansing. We leave the fire and go to the cool, dark waters of the Sun Link Sea Forest Recreation Area. We are walking to the waterfall inside a cave. The Songlong Rock Waterfall. The cave is huge, a natural amphitheater of sandstone. The waterfall plunges down in front of the cave entrance. Roar, splash, roar, splash. You walk behind the waterfall. You are inside the rock, looking out through the curtain of water. The world is blurred, distorted by the falling liquid. The air is filled with negative ions. It feels electric, fresh. You breathe it in. It tastes like rain. You are protected by the rock, hidden by the water. The simulation takes us to the historic fort, San Domingo in Tamsui. The red brick walls are glowing in the late afternoon sun. You walk along the ramparts. You look out at the Tamsui River flowing into the ocean. You see the fishing boats returning. You see the ferry crossing to Bali on the other side. The river is wide and calm. The sunset reflects on the water, turning it into a sheet of copper. You lean against the warm brick. You feel the history of this place. Spanish, Dutch, Qing, Japanese, layers of time. Now it is just a quiet park. Couples are walking, holding hands. Children are flying kites on the riverbank. The fort is no longer a place of defense, but a place of leisure. The cannons are silent, rusting gently in the salt air. We drift to the high-tech clean rooms of a semiconductor foundry in Tainan again. But this time, we focus on the water recycling system. Water is precious here. You see the pipes, color-coded, carrying water in a loop. It is used, filtered, purified, and used again. You watch the filtration membranes, microscopic pores that catch every impurity. The water comes out crystal clear. Flow, filter, flow. It is a closed loop, a system of responsibility. The simulation highlights the efficiency. Every drop counts. Every drop is respected. We move to the coral reefs of Kenting for a specific event, the mass spawning. It happens on a few nights a year, after the full moon. The ocean is dark. Then, the corals release their eggs and sperm bundles. Tiny pink and orange spheres float up into the water column. It looks like an underwater snowstorm, but going upwards. Float, drift, millions of potential new lives. The fish are sleeping. The ocean is calm. The event is silent, massive, and crucial. You are witnessing the renewal of the reef, the persistence of life. The simulation brings you to the quiet of a calligraphy studio. The smell of ink, pine soot, and musk. The master is grinding the ink stick on the stone. Grind, grind, grind. It is a meditative circular motion. He adds a few drops of water. The ink becomes thick, black, glossy. He picks up the brush. It is made of wolf hair. He dips it. He holds it poised over the white paper. He breathes in. Then the stroke, touch, press, drag, lift. The ink flows onto the paper. The character for peace, Ping, appears. It is balanced. It is strong. You watch the ink drying. The shine fades to a matte black. The paper absorbs the intent. The word is an anchor. We travel to the misty forests of Zidu. We walk along the skywalk, a bridge suspended high in the canopy of the forest. You are walking among the tops of the trees. The air is filled with mist. You can't see the ground. You are floating in a world of green leaves and white fog. A squirrel runs along the railing. Scurry, stop, scurry. A bird lands on a branch near you, a steer's liosichla. It has a yellow patch on its wing. It sings a clear, descending note. Pew, pew. You feel the sway of the bridge. Gentle, rhythmic. It moves with the wind. You are safe in the arms of the forest. The simulation takes us to the northern coast, to the Candlestick Islets. 2 rock columns rising out of the sea. They look like candlesticks. The waves crash around them. Boom, hiss, but they stand firm. They have been there for thousands of years. You watch the sea birds nesting on the top of the rocks. They are safe there, surrounded by water. They dive into the sea to fish, then return to their stone towers. We move to the night market in Raya, but we focus on the steam rising from the pork pepper buns, the steam from the herbal ribs soup, the steam from the stinky tofu. The steam mixes with the red light of the lanterns at the temple entrance. It creates a warm, hazy atmosphere. You watch the vendor sticking the buns onto the side of the clay oven. Slap, stick. He reaches into the fire with his bare hands, moving quickly. It is a dance with heat. You buy a bun. It is hot in your hand. You break it open. The steam escapes. It smells of sesame, pepper, and meat. It is a pocket of warmth in the cool night. The simulation drifts to the tea plantations of Penguin. We are watching the tea-picking ladies. They are wearing floral shirts and conical hats to protect them from the sun. They move down the rows of tea bushes. Their hands are fast. Pluck, 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 2 leaves and a bud, that is the rule. They toss the leaves into the bamboo baskets on their backs. Rustle, rustle. They are chatting, laughing. Their voices drift across the valley. It is a scene of communal work, the connection to the land. The tea bushes are neat, trimmed, endless rows of green ribbons on the hillside. We go to the Beidou Library. It is a wooden building that breathes. It has large windows that open to the park. You are sitting in a rocking chair on the balcony. You are reading a book. You hear the stream flowing below. The stream is warm, fed by the hot springs. You smell the sulfur and the wood of the library. You rock back and forth. Creak, rock, creak, rock. It is the most eco-friendly library in the world. It uses the sun and the wind. It exists in harmony with its environment. You feel that harmony. You are part of it. The simulation takes us to the Datun volcano group. We are looking at the fumaroles of Xiaokang. Steam is venting from the side of the mountain. It is a reminder that the earth is alive. There is heat below, energy, but it is releasing gently. Hiss, steam, hiss. The sulfur crystals around the vents are bright yellow. The rocks are bleached white. It looks like a snowy landscape, but it is hot. You watch the steam drifting up and mixing with the clouds. The mountain is breathing. We move to the fishing harbor of Nanfangao. We watch the fishermen mending their nets. The nets are green and blue piles on the dock. The men use plastic shuttles to tie the knots. Loop, pull, tie. They are repairing the holes, making the net whole again. It is a metaphor for safety, mending the gaps, ensuring that nothing important slips through. You watch their hands, weathered, scarred, skilled. They know the net by feel, they don't need to look. The simulation takes us to the quiet of the Confucius Temple in Taipei during a ceremony. The musicians are playing ancient instruments. The bells, the stone chimes. Dong, ting, dong, ting. The dancers are moving in slow, rigid squares. They hold pheasant feathers and flutes. It is a ritual of order, of respect for structure. The movements are precise. Every step is measured. It creates a sense of calm predictability. The world has rules, and if we follow them, there is peace. We drift to the east coast, to the Sanxiantai Dragon Bridge again, but underwater. We are looking at the pilings of the bridge. They are covered in barnacles and algae. Small fish live in the crevices. The bridge has become a reef. The currents flow past the pilings. Swish, swirl. The bridge stands firm against the ocean. It connects the island to the rock. It is a path over the chaos. The simulation moves us to the high mountains in winter again, to the shelter of a mountain hut. Peiyan Lodge on Jade Mountain. It is a blizzard outside. The wind is howling, hoo-woo-woo, but inside it is warm. Hikers are sitting around wooden tables. They are eating hot porridge. Their gear is drying by the stove. You are there holding a warm cup. You look out the frosted window. You can see nothing but white, but you are safe. The walls are thick. The roof is strong. The storm cannot touch you. We travel to the southern tip, to the shedding park, to see the glowing mushrooms. They are tiny, bioluminescent fungi that grow on decaying bamboo. It is pitch black in the forest. You have to wait for your eyes to adjust. Then you see them. Green, ghostly lights on the forest floor. They are guiding lights for insects. They are recycling the dead bamboo into life. It is a cycle of decay and rebirth. You crouch down to look closely. The light is steady. It doesn't flicker. It is a cold, chemical light, a secret of the forest. The simulation takes us to the coastline of Hualien. We are looking at the pebble beach of Kixington. The stones are round, smooth, polished by the sea. The waves crash on the stones, rattle, hiss. As the water retreats, the stones roll over each other, clatter, clatter, clatter. It is the sound of the earth being polished, millions of stones moving together. It is a loud sound, but a natural one. It drowns out all other thoughts. You pick up a stone. It is white marble. It is smooth in your hand. It feels like a worry stone. You rub your thumb over it. We move to the sleek, modern control center of the high-speed rail, a wall of screens, maps with moving lights. You see the trains moving in real time. Green lines, they are on time. You watch the dispatchers. They speak in calm, low voices. Train 603, clear to proceed. It is a ballet of logistics. Hundreds of people moving at 300 kilometers per hour, guided by these quiet voices in a dark room. Safety is a system. Safety is attention. The simulation takes us to the rice paddies of Kisheng just before the harvest. The rice is golden, heavy with grain. The wind blows across the fields. The rice stalks bow in waves. It looks like a golden ocean. Rustle, swish, rustle. You smell the ripening grain. It is a warm, toasted smell. You see a farmer walking through the field, touching the grain. He is checking the moisture. He is satisfied. The harvest will be good. We move to the city of Taipei, to the Dawn Forest Park. It is the lungs of the city. We are watching the people doing Tai Chi in the morning mist. They move in slow motion. Push, turn, lift, sink. They are channeling their energy. Their breathing is deep. They are an island of calm in the city. You join them in the simulation. You lift your arms. You feel the air resistance. You are moving through water. The simulation drifts to the workshop of a lantern maker in Lukang. He is painting a lantern. He paints a dragon, but it is a friendly dragon. It has big eyes and a smile. It is a protector. He paints the words national peace and safety, Guo Tai Minen. It is a standard prayer. He lights the candle inside. The lantern glows red. The words are illuminated. The prayer is activated. We move to the coast of Yilan, to the Milk Sea near Gishan Island. The sulfur from the underwater vents mixes with the blue ocean. It creates swirls of turquoise and white. It looks like a giant painting. You are on a sailboat drifting through the Milk Sea. The water is opaque, mysterious. The boat rocks gently. Rock, creak, rock. You lie on the deck looking up at the mast. The sails snaps in the wind. Snap, flap. You are sailing on a volcano, but it is peaceful. It is just chemistry and water. The simulation takes us to the underground reservoir of the Fate Sui Dam again. We are deep in the inspection tunnels. The walls are damp. The lights are strung along the ceiling. You hear the drip of water. Drip, echo, drip. You see a seismograph bolted to the floor. The needle is drawing a straight line. The earth is still. The stillness of the line is reassuring. The earth is holding its breath. We move to the National Palace Museum again, to the Conservation Lab. We watch a conservator repairing an ancient scroll. She is using tweezers. She is applying a tiny amount of wheat starch paste. She is moving with the slowness of a surgeon. She is healing the paper. She is wearing a mask. The room is silent. Her focus is absolute. She is saving history one fiber at a time. The simulation drifts to the night sky over the Penghu Islands. It is the firework festival. But we watch it from a distance, from a boat on the sea. The fireworks explode in silence. Then, seconds later, the sound arrives. Boom, crackle. The colors reflect in the water. Red, green, gold. The bridge is lit up with a rainbow. It is a celebration of light, a release of joy. We end this segment in the simulation room. The screen shows a map of the wind currents over the island. They are sweeping lines of white, flowing around the mountains, flowing over the strait. The air is moving, the water is moving, but the land is anchored. You feel the heaviness of your body, the gravity. You are sinking into the mattress of the simulation. The hum is a lullaby. HMMMMMM. The world is a complex machine, but it is working. The lights are on. The water is flowing. The people are safe. You can let go of the vigilance. The simulation is watching for you.